Stop doing that. Who's playing the video?
Me.
Chris, shut up.
I'm sending it to people.
We're on the
sharing
air.
it. Okay, that's fine.
You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. And we are live. Greetings to our loyal WFYL listeners around the world. Welcome back to your Philadelphia live stream, only on the Freedom Station. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in once again, because you still have the right to hear and the right to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike G. As always, with me are Philly Chris, Russ the producer, and Liberty Lee. And you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters. And you can listen to our program every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So let's be heard. I want to remind our listeners that you can participate in the free and open exchange of thoughts and ideas throughout the entire week by visiting MikeGinthemorning.com. What's it called, Philly Chris?
MikeGinthemorning.com.
Russ, what was that website again?
MikeGinthemorning.com.
Liberty, are you there?
MikeGinthemorning.com.
You know, we've been absolutely honored to have our program run over the airwaves here at the Freedom Station during the week from noon to 3. And we do not want to disappoint our audience. They've aired the entire 3-hour live stream, so we're going to continue to do so as long as they don't kick us off. It's been a lot of fun, so you get your triple dose of Mike G in the morning. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your barber, tell your Uncle Jerry, tell anybody to listen to go to MikeGinthemorning.com. I also want to remind our listeners about the Powerhouse lineup we've got over here at the Freedom Station. We've got the big bad Ben Shapiro, bringing you the Ben Shapiro Show weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. We've got Scott Adams coming at you with the Scott Adams Show weekdays from 9 a.m. until noon. And we also want to welcome to the Freedom Station family Michael Knowles, bringing you the Michael Knowles Show weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. So don't forget to tune in and show them some love. And with that, you know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hit it, Russ. You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. You know, one of my favorite parts of this program is guessing how long it's going to take Russ to play that clip after I say hit it, Russ, right? Sometimes it is absolutely instantaneous, and others, we just sit there on the air. I said hit it, Russ.
We should make that a game. Today.
We're random times throughout the program. We should just say hit it, Russ, and he should be responsible for getting back to that clip and playing that on the air. What do you think of that, Russ?
Sure. Are there any wagers involved? Should we bet actual money?
Are there rules to this game?
I don't know.
If you do it in a certain amount of seconds, do we give you a prize? I heard that you won some prizes at the carnival over the weekend.
Yeah, and speaking of hit it, Russ, that that strongman thing where you hit the thing and you ring the bell, that went pretty well the third time.
I think it did. I think you showed great strength, like a Viking. Is that right, Liberty?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Viking strength there.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into that, what is going on with our show personnel communication? Were we able to get pictures posted through this doc so that the audience can take a look at what we're posting here?
Yeah, I actually posted some photos in there.
Russ, are you able to see them through the doc?
Yeah. Hang on. I don't have them in the PowerPoint. I told you this, and then you're like, hey, why don't we look at the pictures through the doc?
Yeah,
Jerk.
well,
What did you
every
think?
time we ask Russell, how do we provide you with information, something we want to show on the air? The
Well-
answer is always, put it in the doc.
Put it in the doc.
And then we put photos in the doc, and he's like, don't put it in the doc.
That's who puts photos in
and
a
I wanted to-
document? That's not
Right.
that's not how you
You know, Russ,
document.
You remind me an awful lot of the CDC.
You
What
can't
is
make
this, a
them happy.
newspaper? You're gonna put pictures on it too? Why not just
Okay.
put headlines?
Can I
I think you're
explain?
switching things up quite a bit around here, Russ.
There's a reason why I put pictures in the doc, Russ, just FYI. But first of all, it engages people. They can see what you're talking about, not just a link. But second of all, things disappear in this post-Trump era, Biden era. Like, you can see something, my friend will send me something on social media, and you click the link, it's gone.
That
It's
is
remo-
very true. That is very true. And Russ, you know better than anybody else because for a long time, since I'd say most of the time I know you, when you
Eh.
see something interesting that you think the overlords might pull down, you actually have a way to capture those forever. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I just download them.
Yeah. Is that what it's called these days?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
That's
it's
it.
against YouTube's terms of service, but I don't care.
Well, you didn't do it from YouTube. We're not talking about that, of course,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're talking about hypothetically here.
I downloaded a middle finger from YouTube. I'll show them that.
Well-
This is all entertainment.
they-
all
they can
entertainment.
You got to screenshot, screen record, or on your computer, as Russ taught me, you use your Xbox recorder. Yep, just like a gamer. Russ
Yeah.
taught me to download an app, the Xbox app, and you can record stuff on your computer with
Yeah,
that.
there's
There we
a
go.
built-in app recorder. It's
Thanks,
really neat.
CB. CB said Liberty is right, but he also said the power of Russ.
Power of
The
Russ.
power of Russ. Russ is
Nice.
very strong, right?
Mhm.
And we want to give CB a shout out because CB actually made this video. We provided the footage, obviously, but CB was responsible for putting this together, and I believe is absolutely incredibly talented individual.
Yeah, it's great.
Between the cartoons and now this video editing. So let us know on the comments what you think. Maybe we should watch this video on the
Have
air
to.
at some point. You want to give everybody a little bit of a preview? The only
Yeah.
thing is, Russ, when we're on the air and our Freedom Station lovers are listening from 12 to 3, it might be difficult for them to follow what's going on when we're watching our carnival video. Isn't that so?
Yeah.
You can cut that out, maybe.
No. They can
can
listen
hear
to
it,
it.
though.
Use your imagination.
Well,
Use your imagination. Yeah,
they can
that'll
certainly
make for
hear
great
Russ.
radio while someone's driving down the road. They're listening to. Oh well, I don't want to give away what all took place. Russ, how did we get you out on the town to come to a carnival? I understand it's very difficult to get you outside.
Well, you told me that it was free, and I said, okay, so it's all expenses paid. I just have to show up, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
my
like,
treat,
yeah, all
and
right.
that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if that's all it takes.
And you wanted me
We're
to
gonna
eat
do
weird
stuff like this more
carnival
often.
food.
CB says, Liberty, you have to show Mike the John Wick and Neo from the Matrix video.
Mm.
Yes, we actually wanted to show this on air.
Okay.
Is it
But
copyrighted?
hold on, but I can't I can't put I have to somehow get the link so that Russ can play it. So
Okay.
let me figure that out.
You
I'm
can't put that
excited
in
to
the
see
doc.
that. That's
Make
another
sure those
video you're
links go
saying?
in
There's
the
another
doc.
one?
Oh, there are several videos.
Oh, really?
CB has
Oh,
been-
They're
all right.
phenomenal. They're
But we
yeah.
were
I
gonna.
almost don't. I don't want to waste them all on
Yeah,
this
that's
program.
what.
Right.
because
That's what I was not gonna do.
when you have content like this, it is absolute gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I don't want to blow it all in one program.
Spread it out a little bit. Yeah.
But thank you to
That's good.
CB. Jeff,
Mhm.
thank you very much
Thank you,
for
CB.
putting together these videos and these cartoons. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you involved with this. Incredibly talented. So, Russ, what was your favorite thing about the carnival?
Probably winning that alien. I mean,
Oh,
that
yeah?
that was.
Aw.
I couldn't believe they had. So I got the alien, and I don't have any kind of pictures of it or anything, but
Yeah, video.
it's a balloon style alien, and it looks like it's wearing a jumpsuit, like a prison mate kind of suit, And it says property of the U.S. government on that. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was a perfect gift for Philly Chris, right?
Yeah, I
That's what
can't-
we
I'm
all
very
thought as soon as we
excited.
looked
Yeah.
at it. Philly Chris, I guess we got to start calling you anywhere but Philly Chris once again, right?
That's right.
Where are you these days?
Well, I was in Savannah, Georgia, and now I am in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, traveling around a
Wow.
little bit. Yeah.
You sound
helping
a
some
little
friends
under the
move,
weather.
yeah.
What is going on out there?
I
You
don't
got the
know. I'm going to
COVID?
say maybe some allergies. Maybe there's some plants around here or something. Something's
Yeah.
going on.
You're,
Yeah, I'm
you're
not really
allergic
sure.
to coronavirus.
Yeah, I
right?
think that's it. Exactly. Maybe that's it.
What's
I don't
going
feel
on?
that bad, actually. Just a little congested or something. Yeah.
Oh, a lot
Yeah.
of people with coronavirus don't feel that bad.
You sure about that, Philly Chris?
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
you know.
It hits everybody a little bit differently.
Yeah, that
You-
could be
you
it.
might wanna
Who
get that
knows? Who
looked at.
knows? Well, we'll see. If you believe it's not possible, it's not possible, right?
have you been around anybody who's been concerned about what you're dealing with over there?
No, not really. Fortunately, no. Everybody
So-
around
So
me is
Pete, you've been
vaccinated, I
around
think.
human beings
Mhm.
who this day and age see you with a runny nose and sounding like absolute garbage the way you do.
Yeah, they're okay
And,
with it.
and
yeah.
they've got no problem. Why do they not take issue with that?
Well, they're vaccinated.
Oh,
Yeah, people I'm with right now are vaccinated, so everybody seems okay. Yeah.
well,
No,
then
I-
it would seem to me that they should be more concerned that it's not coronavirus in that case, right?
That could be it, right? That's right.
Because
that's
if you've
right.
just got a regular cold or something
Yeah.
like that, they're gonna catch it.
There you go. That's how it could work. Yeah.
So the
We'll
regular
see what
cold
happens. We'll
is
fill you
more
in next
dangerous
week.
to
Yeah.
them right now
hmm
because they're not vaccinated from the common cold.
Right. They're working on that one still, I think. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure a lot of folks wouldn't be upset about that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How many
well,
times have people
yeah.
wish that they could just get rid of the common cold altogether?
Yeah. Be nice.
Brandy
Yeah.
says over here, when I asked about how I got Russ to the fair, he says, you told Russ there was free zucchini at the fair.
Actually, I just wanted to clarify. There was free cheese fries for us.
Oh, really?
Cheese fries on Mike G.
On Mike D,
Nice,
yeah. But
nice.
Russ got some cheese
You know what they
fries, and
used?
He was in heaven.
You know what they used to get the cheese onto the fries?
What's
They-
that?
oh, it's
It was
a bag.
It was
cheese.
in a
They're-
bag.
Oh,
It was
bag.
a
So-
bag
bag
of
of
cheese. No
Snowflake,
joke
snowflake,
either.
and would be proud.
That's right.
I never seen Russ so happy.
Play the games. Why
Yeah.
don't we go ahead and show that video? Can you pull that up, Russ?
Is it in the dock?
May or may not be in the doc. It's not like you should be familiar with
Yeah.
our radio program's YouTube page or anything like that.
You're asking a
I
lot
can
there.
pull it if
Good
you.
grief.
Hit it, Russ.
Oh,
Hey.
yeah, hit it, Russ. Yeah, good one. All right.
You know why I think I'm a little congested though is when Russ was hitting the ground there. When he was using that big sledgehammer. I think it sent vibrational forces all the way down here and messed me up a little bit.
The government hired him to do that. It's a conspiracy.
That's what it is. Yeah. It's all about the frequencies. Yes.
I want to see Russ now do one of those really, really tall ones. Like that's gonna be the next thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
As long as you're
on
paying
the-
for it, I don't mind.
You'll come on out. So that's the key to Russ's heart. If it's on somebody else,
Right.
if I'm buying, Russ will.
It's free.
Whoa.
All right, yeah,
It's
full
free, it's
screen.
free.
You got to full screen that.
All right.
And shout out to CB.
Yeah. CB's killing it with the graphics. I love that.
Well, hold on, time out. Before
Yeah.
you show this, I've got to say I do appreciate that cartoon of
It's
Mike G.
fantastic.
Yeah,
right
thanks
there,
for the
right?
beer
And
bill.
last
Great.
week you had Philly Chris and Rich Roberts
Yeah.
saying that they were a little too big in the midsection.
Oh, man.
I can say that I am digging that cartoon.
No, you look pretty good, man. You're pretty svelte.
Or that alien popping out of that tent. That's funny.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, how can you mention that, not Russ?
All right.
Yeah, I look
Hit
real
it, Russ.
fat. And why does it
Hit it,
look like I'm
Russ.
wearing loafers? Why does it look like I'm wearing loafers?
You got to wear those slippers.
I stopped by
when I first
Manny
met you.
McMahon's house and took his
Mm.
what
Russ,
you
brand
look
of
very regal.
loafers does he use?
Those are your special
He's like
Bigfoot
30
slippers,
of them.
Russ.
That's
Yeah,
right, that's
my
right.
man slippers.
Also known as Russ's sheet, right? You like how he's got the alien in the background?
Yeah,
There's
I
just-
just
said
noticed
that already.
Yeah, that's awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
All right,
Why don't
we
you play
ready?
this video from the beginning, Russ?
Got a
This
neat
is the
TV.
beginning.
Thank you.
It
This
says
is great.
0-0 down here. What are you?
Yeah, I said play it from the beginning, not look at it and pause from the beginning.
Okay. Okay, man. Is that copyrighted music?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Mike G from Mike G in the Morning here. We're over at the carnival in Chester County, Pennsylvania, with nobody other than Russ the producer.
Look at him.
Do
He's
we
so
want
rigid.
Russ the producer to give this a shot? I think so. If he rings the bell, he wins an alien
Oh,
to
here
bring
we
back
go.
home to Philly Chris.
I wish you guys would have cut out
Just
the
to figure it's like
two-part
Billy Chris.
Oh, that's so
You
great.
gotta watch Russ. He's playing this game where you swing the hammer and ring the bell.
This is when I got sick right here.
Russ is getting all loosened up.
Right.
That is great.
Oh, it's so great.
He had 2 strikes on you, Russ.
Yeah.
This is the alien I was talking about.
That's fantastic. You picked a good one too.
Mike. Russ, smile. What does it say?
Property of the U.S. government. These look awfully
We just gotta play the whole thing.
familiar. You call me a bear? You call me grizzly? I think they owe you some money. You call me grizzly?
Call him Grumpy Russ, folks. Grumpy Russ.
There we go.
Grizzly Russ. Oh!
Nice. Still got your arm, Mike.
Oh yeah,
Smash
not bad for an old man in Harley boots, I guess.
I guess they're pretty hard to break though, for real, huh?
Oh yeah, this is what we try to get rid of.
Get away from my cheese fries.
Nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've just uncovered something very important
What's
and
with that
very
bat?
exclusive over here. You know, we've seen all the Trump supporters in Chester County. We weren't sure where these Biden votes showed up from. I've uncovered exactly where all the Joe Biden voters have been hiding.
It's a haunted house called Castle of the Dead. And CB puts a picture of Trump.
I love Trump in there. That's great.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like Benny Hill.
I love the song, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good song. Yeah.
Go, Russ.
Yeah, Russ.
Nice.
Yeah, I was hitting them, but not smashing them. I missed a bunch of them.
Well, you had an alien on your back.
Well, yeah, there's that too. Some people have a
pretty
monkey on their back.
It's a
I
little more
got nailed.
difficult to shoot a basketball with an alien on your back.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got no
One of those
excuse. There's no
basketballs
alien
is,
on my
like,
back.
flat.
At least that I'm aware.
You broke 2 bottles.
Bag of cheese.
Bucket of fries.
Look, the alien.
Yeah.
Those gun games, they're fun,
They're rigged.
but yeah,
Yeah,
well,
they're
they're
rigged, yeah.
certainly rigged. They're
They're so
certainly rigged.
inaccurate.
They
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah,
in order
joke
for
about
people to
that.
make
Listen to
money.
this.
Where can I get some mustard? Found the mustard.
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Nice.
That was great. Just walking
Yeah.
around the carnival
Fantastic.
shouting MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Woo.
Mm.
Good job,
Yeah.
Stevie.
Thank you again to CB for putting that together. That is a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun going on it there. Randy, we still have to get the lovely Liberty Lee out from behind the camera.
Yes, I was actually filming.
Mm.
Behind the camera. That is
Behind the
that is
All this
correct.
stuff.
Liberty was in fact there. Philly Chris was the only one from the gang missing.
Yeah, I wish I could have made it, guys. Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. Next time.
We wouldn't have got him away from the aliens, though. He would have just taken his people.
I would have had all of them. All of them. That was pretty good.
So, what do we want to get into today? I know that you guys have a lot on your mind when it comes to big tech and things of that nature. Let's transition quick. For those of us just tuning in, never mind, not my show.
No, I just wanted to give a preview that Rich Roberts will be on later for the people.
Rich Roberts still to come. Rich Roberts coming on the program. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So what have we got on the agenda? I know that Russ tells us to put it in the doc.
Right.
I'm on board with the rest of our audience today. And that I have no idea what we're going to talk about. How do you like that?
Hey, sometimes it's just a wild card show, right?
Well,
Take it away, Philly Chris.
There we
What
go.
about you, Liberty? Did you have anything on your mind?
Hit it,
I mean,
Chris.
there's a lot going on. I just
I
figured.
do want to say this. If you have not watched that video on YouTube, do us a favor. Give it a view, give it a thumbs up, and give us a subscribe. We don't say that often enough, do we? We don't say
No,
that.
not really. Not really.
Yeah.
I say we let Philly Chris do his thing right now, and then I have some stuff later.
Yeah. Although Russ had a lot. Do you want to go, Russ? You want to take the lead for a little bit there,
Well,
Russ?
Chris,
or-
you only put one thing in. We can.
Yeah, I
let you
didn't,
go
I didn't have
first.
too much.
Well, I wanted to start since Philly Chris has a cold. I think it's good
Yeah.
to start with COVID. Like, I mean, it's all over the headlines
Yeah, go ahead.
of what's going on, and I guess the CDC is putting out a video now that's trying to convince us about the changes and that science, and they're using all these different terms to kind of explain why things are going in a different direction now. I guess they're saying that, now they're recommending masks in certain areas, even if you have the vaccine. So they're, the CDC put out like an official video, and it was trying to sell it. And that's actually in the doc, Russ. I don't know if you want to put that up there, but I thought the language was interesting. I thought Philly Chris would really find it interesting.
Yeah, let's check
And
it out.
I'm going to highlight in yellow real quick, Russ, for you, because I don't think you'll find it if I don't. Okay, I just put it in yellow.
That'll make it easier. I see it now. Wow.
Well, for real, or I don't know.
Codified
Yeah, I
Are you-
did.
for him.
Hang
Yeah,
on.
very nice.
What page is that on the
No
doc?
idea. It's in
Five.
yellow, though.
It's under
right
Liberty,
here.
and it's
Yeah, page 5.
It's right here. It's the one in yellow.
There you
yeah, in
go.
yellow. See, I made it easy for you, Russ. It's
Wow.
that.
That
Apple-
is correct.
The
The Apple
yellow
Music.
That
one.
doesn't mean put everything in yellow in the future, by the way.
I'm not. I just do it live.
She's doing it live.
So what? Okay. They're selling the new mask guidance. Or
There's
they're
a whole
trying
bunch of nonsense going on there, Russ.
Play that video. That's the one. You'll see. It's really
Are
quick.
they gonna make us
Short.
watch an ad first?
Prefer not to.
Yeah.
Is it gonna play at all?
No surveys,
It's
too.
not an ad.
Why
It's
is
right
there no
there.
sound.
Oh, it just looks like an ad.
That's Rush. Because it is an ad. It's an
Fancy.
ad for what's going on. Watch.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Oh,
called
not
propaganda.
really. You'll see.
So we have new data here. We have always seen, first of all, I want to re-emphasize our vaccines are working just as we thought they would with the Delta variant to prevent severe hospitalization and death.
So why is
We
it
should
spreading?
be getting vaccinated to prevent severe disease in ourselves and to protect ourselves from the Delta variant and from getting severe COVID. Here's the new science that we saw
opposed to
just in the
mild
last
COVID?
several days. With prior variants, when people had these rare breakthrough infections, we didn't see the capacity of them to spread the virus to others. But with the Delta variant, we now see in our outbreak investigations that have been occurring over the last couple of weeks, in those outbreak investigations, we have been seeing that if you happen to have one of those breakthrough infections, that you can actually now pass it to somebody else. We thought that was really important for people to know and understand, because when people are out there vaccinated thinking that even if they get mild illness, they can't give it to someone else, if they're then going to a loved one who's immunocompromised, who isn't yet vaccinated or couldn't yet be vaccinated, we wanted them to take the protection to protect others. So that was the new science that prompted the guidance, and it was not. It weighed heavily. I know that this is not a message America wants to hear.
And what they saw with Delta was a change in that data. Delta behaves differently. And when the data changed, they changed their recommendations. This is actually what you want to happen with science. You want science to be dynamic. You want recommendations to reflect the latest science. And that's what you see in the recommendations that were issued today.
We were dealing with the
Sounds like
alpha
science is
virus
their religion.
back a few months ago. As I told you, it was a virus that if a person had a breakthrough infection, very, very unlikely that that person would transmit it. That's changed. Now, the level of virus in the nasopharynx of an infected person with Delta is 1,000 times of what it was with the alpha, which means it really has the capability, and in fact, in the real world is doing it. It can transmit. So nothing changed about the science. It was the virus that changed. We're dealing with fundamentally a different virus.
I trust
When you get
Fauci.
vaccinated, you don't get vaccinated just because you don't want to wear a mask. You get vaccinated because you want to save your life. Your own health is the reason.
Anybody notice he said Delta? Anybody?
I noticed that too.
Delta.
Anytime I see him, the only thing that I can think of is that Freedom Tunes thing that when he was saying the droplets,
Right,
the
yeah, the
droplets,
droplets, yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah, I can just hear it now. The new science is going to be the big talk. The
So,
new science.
so what they're saying, and I try to listen and follow what they're saying. You don't want to just tune them out completely and not be able to have a discussion about it. So I want to hear what they're putting out there. So what they're saying is that with this new variant, ultimately people are able to transmit it even if vaccinated. That wasn't the case with the OG virus, right?
The alpha.
Yeah,
We just skipped
yeah.
over the beta and the whatever C
The
is.
Charlie, right?
Yeah,
the
the beta and
Rambo
the
virus
Bravo
was
and the
the
Charlie.
Charlie.
We went right to Delta.
So this one can be transmitted even if vaccinated. And it sounds like what they're saying is that if you are vaccinated, it doesn't mean you can't get it. It just means you're more likely to not have a severe case with hospitalization and death. Is that what they're saying?
I think so. Although
Yeah.
Biden said recently that you can't get sick or die, if you get the vaccine, which isn't true. So I'm not sure who's fact checking him.
And it's also becoming a thing because there's no way to check this.
He said you can't, or that it's less
Yeah,
likely that you
He
do.
said that you can't.
Because-
I have the clip actually in the doc. We'll watch it later. Yeah. Yeah,
No,
he
no,
said
let's
you
watch
can't.
it now.
Oh, you
Let's
want
watch
to?
it now.
Yeah. You want to check that out then?
Do
Okay.
it live.
Do it live.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Do it
If you
live.
look at my comments there's a few different things. It's Sky News. We've talked about Sky News a little bit before in the show.
Yeah, love this.
Let's see.
And,
While Russ is scanning through the doc to find this guy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
right
on
here. It's
page
the
like-
only
cut
thing
you off,
Chris
Liberty.
put.
I was just saying it's a weird thing with the vaccine because say you get the breakthrough infection even though you got the vaccine, there's like a big talk amongst the people on social media. Well, it would have been a lot worse, but like nobody knows. Nobody knows once you got the vaccine what it would have looked like if they didn't get the vaccine.
Mhm.
So
I
That's
guess so,
true, too.
right?
Yeah,
How do you
right.
There's
predict?
no way to.
Right. Yeah, if
My
you
aunt were a
cue that
man,
up
she'd be
to
my uncle.
right. If
I
you
mean,
cue
Mike
that up,
didn't have
Russ,
the
to like a
vaccine. He
minute
didn't
and
wind up in
20
the hospital.
seconds.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, this
Should
But
I
is
play
you,
the
you
thing?
see the people arguing back and forth about it. It's just it never ends. The arguments are
Yeah.
never going to end.
True.
Unless you can go back in time, right?
Well,
Yeah,
if they
well.
borrow some of the technology from the aliens, then maybe they could.
yeah. I'm working
Ah.
on something in a few months.
There
I'll
have been
announce it,
alien
yeah.
studies on this so far.
I'm working on my own TR3B where you can travel through time. So
Oh,
we'll
okay.
talk about that. in a
What
few
Give it a
happens if
shot,
you
Russ.
travel through time in a time where the time travel device didn't exist?
minutes.
Then it
That might
couldn't
be the-
exist.
Yeah, that's probably what we need.
Yeah.
So where exactly is it that you posted this?
It's right
Uh,
because
here.
that-
He has
Is-
it. Russ has
That's
it.
the
yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
if you
one
cue
with-
it up
I
to
see
about-
some. I'm
uh,
just seeing something about aliens. So I'm like, what?
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in this clip, which is why I posted it. Because if you start at about 1:20 minute and 20 seconds, and then about 3 minutes, play about 3 minutes of it. You can stop along the way if you want. But there's some
All right,
interesting stuff going on in here, I think.
120 then.
See what people
this
think.
is Alan Jones, not to be confused with Alex Jones, right?
That's
Right,
correct. Correct.
And
Yeah.
this is
I like
Alex
this guy.
Jones. What
This is
happened
from
to you?
Sky News Australia.
What
Be
happened
sure
to
to
Alex
show him
Jones?
some love. Make sure you tell him Mike G sent you.
He's been under a lot of stress lately.
Yeah.
Yes. I can see that in his facial expression.
Mm-hmm.
To get on side with government and censor voices the government doesn't like. This is nothing more than a crackdown on the free exchange of ideas. We are in deep trouble when the leader of the world's democracies, America, is instructing private companies to abridge the freedom of speech and of the press to the point where big private companies are acting as functionaries of government. The journalist Glenn Greenwald, who helped publish the whistleblower Edward Snowden's surveillance abuse in 2013, called the union of corporate and state power, and I quote, one of the hallmarks of fascism. I've said many times, the real pandemic is the failure of a politically correct society to give the public access to a plurality of views. Well, enter again into this field the cognitively declining President of the United States. This bloke continues to get a saloon passage, a free run. His incoherence is unchallenged. Here he is talking to a CNN town hall meeting. Now, of course, CNN are mouthpieces for Biden. And you'll see here another example of embarrassing, stumbling incoherence. He's asked, what's your message to parents and educators about kids returning to school when kids under 12 are not yet vaccinated? Listen to the President of the United States.
Everyone under the age of 12 should probably be wearing a mask in school. That's probably what's going to happen. Secondly, those over the age of 12 who are able to get vaccinated, if you're vaccinated, you shouldn't wear a mask. If you aren't vaccinated, you should be wearing a mask.
Well, the WHO and UNICEF have guidelines on wearing masks. Quote, children aged 5 years and under should not be required to wear masks. This is based, they say, on the safety and overall interests of the child and the capacity to appropriately use a mask with minimal assistance. The guidelines go further. For children aged 6 to 11, masks are recommended in classrooms only if the school is located in a locality where there is widespread transmission and only after consultation with parents and weighing the impacts on learning and psychosocial development. What's the president saying? Everyone under the age of 12 should be wearing a mask. That's not what UNICEF or the WHO are saying, and not a word about consulting with parents or the impact on learning and psychosocial development. Who is fact-checking the President of the United States? They fact-check Alan Jones. The next question was about coronavirus and vaccinations. Now, I'm vaccinated. I'm pro-vaccination, but I'm also pro giving people all the information. Vaccinated people are testing positive. The vaccination, as I have said, limits the likelihood of people going into hospital if they catch the virus. That's not what the president has said. Listen to this.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Yeah. That's not true. But the bloke's unchallenged. And then this incoherent rambling about men on the moon and aliens. Listen to this embarrassing diatribe.
You want to pause it right here, Chris?
Yeah,
got
pause it.
this later.
Yeah,
All
pause
right,
it. Yeah,
we'll
okay.
pause it there
Yeah,
and get back to that later.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, so he's saying you can't get it, which means you also couldn't die from it if you can't get it. So, but that's not true. Yeah,
is what he was saying.
That's right.
I wonder, is YouTube going to pull us down for saying that if that doesn't line up with?
Probably.
Who are we supposed to be following right now?
I don't know. I really, we should probably go to Mars or something.
I forgot.
Hello? Are we on the air? Hello?
I don't know. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's all just nonsense at this point.
What kind of an impact do you think that has on children wearing masks?
I've seen some reports about that, and I think it's horrible.
Are we even supposed to talk about this, Russ?
I don't know.
Russ?
Listen. I have a thing in here. Okay, their COVID policies are still out of date. Okay, do you want to? Let's take a field trip to their COVID policies.
Field trip over to the YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube COVID policies, and
it says right there, it definitely didn't come out of a lab in Wuhan, right?
Yeah, I mean, how can they say that?
This policy was published on May 20th, 2020.
Oh, great.
That's vastly out of date compared to how fast the information.
Yeah, I mean, it was around for
moved.
a couple of months at that point, right? Or at least,
right.
we knew about it for a couple of months.
Who's doing that?
Right?
Liberty,
Russ
hit
is
the
our
mute.
personal overlord.
Was published on May 20th, 2020.
I'm hearing a replay. I'm hearing a delay in my ears.
Liberty.
Hello. Hello.
Oh,
Hello. Hello.
Not everyone likes to hear themselves talk. All right.
Well,
Just
you
in
know.
case I couldn't hear the conversation, I'll hear it 7 seconds later in my ear.
Yeah. But yeah, so all this stuff is vastly out of date. YouTube doesn't allow content that spreads medical information. Stop it!
It's not me.
I don't know. It's not me.
Is that the aliens?
Yeah, it's probably aliens,
It was
yeah.
the gremlin
It's that-
aliens.
hang on a minute. It's that time machine I'm working on.
Alien Chris.
What's that, Liberty?
Your new name is Alien Chris.
There we go.
Alien Chris. I think it's more appropriate than Philly
Yeah,
Chris because
it could be.
Martian.
Could be.
Martian.
probably visited with aliens more than you've visited Philadelphia lately. You're just all over the
Well,
place.
somebody's got to do it.
Claims that there's a guaranteed prevention method for COVID-19. Well, I guess they're
Well,
going to
we-
have to tear down Joe.
Well, that's a very good point because that's pretty much what he said, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not pretty much what he said. That's exactly what he said. He just said that you cannot get it if you've been vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But he's
So,
just allowed to continue to mumble along and say a bunch of nonsense. I mean, that's what he's doing at this point. I hate
Yeah.
to say it. But yeah, when you see the rest of that clip later, try to interpret what he says. You know, stick around because it's going to get pretty interesting.
Randy says, did you see how CDC is now saying they've stopped using the one test that they were all using last year
Well, the
because it
PCR
can't
test.
differentiate between COVID or influenza?
Yeah, I mentioned that on the show several months ago. They were over amplifying the PCR test. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see what CDC says. Everyone loves to point toward the CDC. So if you're fully vaccinated, you can participate in many of the activities that you did before the pandemic.
Well, thanks for your permission, by the way.
Yeah, thanks CDC.
Yeah, right.
Like 4th of
which
July.
is, an acronym for something about overlords, I'm sure.
Right.
Okay, so this is from Yahoo News.
Yeah.
CDC urges labs to use COVID tests that can differentiate from flu. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention urged labs this week to stock clinics with kits that can test for both the coronavirus and the flu as the influenza season draws near. When's this from? Oh, this is July 24th, 2021.
Yeah.
So is that to say that the old test couldn't differentiate between
No.
COVID and the
The
actual
did actually
CDC
talk
said
about that on
Wednesday
the
it will
show.
withdraw its request for the emergency use authorization of real-time diagnostic testing kits, which are used starting in February 2020 to detect signs of the coronavirus by the end of the year. CDC is providing this advance notice for clinical laboratories to have adequate time to select and implement one of the many FDA-authorized alternatives, the agency said. The U.S. has reported more than 34.4 million cases of the coronavirus since the pandemic began in 2020, and more than 610,000 deaths. But while cases of COVID-19 soared nationwide, hospitalizations and deaths caused by influenza dropped. According to the data released by CDC earlier this month, influenza mortality rates were significantly lower throughout 2020 than previous years. There were 646 deaths relating to the flu among adults reported in 2020, whereas 2019, the CDC estimated that between 24,000 and 62,000 people died from influenza-related illnesses. Interesting.
Yeah, we talked about that PCR test on the show some months back about how it was over amplifying things. And I believe the inventor of that test even came out and said it was being used inappropriately.
See,
Once
this does not say PCR test, though. And I don't know
Okay.
the different tests or anything like that. It says laboratories will have until the close of 2021 before the CDC officially withdraws its emergency use authorization for the real-time PCR. Never mind. Real-time RT-PCR diagnostic panel. They hid PCR in there.
Right, that's in there. Yeah, we should pull some of the old episodes actually and go through some of that stuff because a lot of the things we talked about on the show, all of us, are now being fact checked, if you will. It's interesting. So yeah, go back and check out the old episodes, folks.
How about that episode that got taken down from YouTube?
What's that?
How about that episode that got taken down from YouTube? I believe it was the beginning of April, where we said a bunch of things that turned out to end up being true, but YouTube's like, no.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's, I think we all see what's going on here.
Yes.
Pretty sure we see what's going on, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. We all
So-
know what's going. That much we can say on YouTube, right? We can say
Yeah.
we all know what's going on, and
Yeah.
that's it. Just leave it at that.
Yeah, pretty much. We know.
We
what's
all know.
No
what's
ambiguous
going on.
statements allowed. You have
we're all on
to
the same
elaborate
page,
on what
right?
you're saying.
Come on, man.
Come
Hey,
on,
but
man.
but the
Come
thing
on,
is, the thing is about these vaccines. Speaking of vaccines, you can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have severe COVID side effects from the vaccine.
Yeah.
It's a
And the
severe
government won't
COVID vaccine
compensate
side
you.
effects. The government
Yeah.
likely won't compensate you for damages either.
Right.
Hmm.
And there are folks out there who are having pretty significant side effects, and that's true. There's people who are ending up having issues with their necks, like the stiff neck syndrome. There's studies on that right now. I don't know if you guys have seen that. There's been complications. It's not 100% safe, as they want you to sort of believe. No medical treatment is.
Hang on, Chris. We're told
Yeah?
that they're safe and effective. They're safe. They're
Sorry,
effective.
Russ, okay. Yeah.
You can't
Well,
say the
my
opposite
question from the very
things.
beginning. My question from the very beginning,
Mhm.
and we talked about the legal implications and the immunity and everything like that.
Mhm.
But I understand how certainly people would be hesitant to do something when you're saying, "Oh, but by the way,
You're using their
if
verbiage
this does
now,
go
Mike.
wrong, right? If this does go wrong, then you can't sue, you can't be compensated, you can't get any damages for it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that I could see how that concerns you. Like, hold on a second.
Yeah, sure.
So
You know,
if
if I'm going to have no recourse, is there something to that? Why is that the case that you want complete immunity from liability?
well, because it's an emergency.
And I don't
experimental
think, frankly,
drug.
people understand how many times we sign away our rights throughout the normal course of a day, though,
Right. True.
because there are several things that we all do every day when we're signing away our rights. How many of us really sit there and read every time we click accept on something, or every time we have to sign something when we go to a doctor?
Nobody has time for that. I mean,
Right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine though? Because they do make these agreements incredibly long. You'd be sitting there reading all day.
yeah, it's those damn attorneys.
Yeah, right.
But you can't sue.
But there should be some sort of limit to that. I mean, really, right? I
Well,
mean,
there are, and courts
know.
there are limits to everything. So, Russ, I want you to pull up
I mean,
the
how
thing that
long
you put
they
in the
are.
doc about Microsoft. I think it was.
Yeah, Microsoft
In the
Terms of
meantime-
Service says you basically
Really quick, while
cannot
he's
sue
doing
them.
that, I just wanted to respond to that.
Mhm.
If good luck, because I've been in a position where like I, took a medicine that had side effects. Like good luck trying to convince the doctor anyway that it's from
Speaking
the
of
vaccine.
medicine, I'm going to get my medicine. Hold on a second.
But yeah, good luck trying to convince a doctor that's from the vaccine, especially when everybody's so like, trying to ignore.
No, it wasn't. It was a coincidence.
Well, they could say it's anything. They could say something else. I mean, it's very, very difficult once you're in that once you're there and you're kind of at the mercy of the medical field. Philly
right.
Chris.
It's an allergic reaction to mustard.
Philly Chris
Oh,
is,
no.
he has his maker's mark. Yeah, it's
So-
allergic.
Mike,
As far as I know, that's medicine, right?
yeah, it's
I'm
the
not a
best
doctor.
medicine next to laughter,
Well,
right?
I'm a jurist doctor, but I'm not that kind of a doctor.
It's sealed. For the record, it's sealed.
Mm.
I was just pretending on the air.
That
That's
looks
all
like it's sealed
make-believe
with
anyhow,
electric
For
right?
tape.
after
That's
the
make-believe.
show.
Yeah, that's
right.
apple
No, it's
juice.
not. It's
Oh,
not
this
for
is
after
real.
the show.
This-
That's fake. That's maple syrup in a
It's
bottle.
maple syrup.
It's
yeah, that's
mustard.
Right. Don't worry.
Maple
Nothing
mustard.
to see
there
here.
there are rules here, right, Philly Chris?
Yes.
So thank you for showing the maple syrup in a bottle.
That's correct.
It's not real.
Yeah.
Not real.
Remind me to hit you with it later.
Nothing's real anymore.
All right, so on to this thing. So, Mike, what is arbitration in the legal realm? What does that mean?
Yeah, so arbitration is a process where you litigate in front of basically. So Judge Judy, you've seen that on TV, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's not a real judge in a court. She's an arbitrator, and basically you're agreeing to resolve your dispute out of court in a separate process. And many times, businesses will include these clauses because arbitration is they claim it's more efficient than going through the legal system because you get bogged down in the courts with these long dockets and takes years and drags out forever. So we're just going to agree to arbitration now because these companies are the ones making the agreements. You know, they want to set it up to give them some kind of advantage. And with arbitration, you got to pay an arbitrator. You know, it could be more expedient to do things by way of arbitration than going through the legal system, but you're not getting a judge, you're getting an arbitrator or a panel of arbitrators. Sometimes that could be helpful in specific trades. Like, let's say, for example, you have somebody who's in the gun business and you've got some dispute about something involving firearms where you'd really have to know firearms in order to be able to make an accurate assessment. If you go in front of any old judge, suppose one who's never even touched a firearm in his or her entire life, that could be a coin flip, if anything, right?
Sure.
But if you're going in front of an arbitrator or an arbitration panel who knows about firearms, and they've got experts involved, then they could be more well equipped to make a decision. Now, for some people, they say, hey, hold on a second, I'd rather be in front of a jury. I'd rather real people make these decisions. Not that arbitrators aren't real people, but people in the community.
Soon they'll be robots.
Well, Judge Judy's not a real judge, you're telling everybody, though, right?
Well, with the program, that is not a court with jurisdiction. It's not like
Right.
It's not like
It's a
she's
TV
in the
show.
Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas or anything
Sure.
like that.
Does she take care of real cases? Or is it just a
Well,
TV show for fun?
I believe they're real disputes, and they've agreed to resolve them by way of arbitration, the way you're apparently agreeing to in this one. Now, class action waiver, that's another one. And there have been all kinds of cases where attorneys have argued as to whether or not these things are enforceable. Meaning, should some, 20-something-year-old person signing an agreement in a cell phone store be able to waive their right to litigate in the court of law and be able to waive their right to class action right here, right?
I wonder if you could ask them, they probably wouldn't let you modify them, like when you're doing contract negotiations.
Right,
yeah.
The dude at the Verizon kiosk at the mall is going to be making legal decisions to modify contract.
I'm going to try that next time I update my phone. I'll be like, do you have a pen? Just want to cross a few things out here. Could you please initial here? They might do it,
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Well,
That's pretty funny.
all right. So
I do need some mustard. Thanks, CB. Yeah. That'd probably be better medicine, actually.
Yeah, mustard will clear your sinuses.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Spicy
And we
mustard.
can check if he has COVID with mustard.
Yeah, that's true. That's a.
Have you
better than the
considered
PCR
snorting
test, I guess.
mustard?
If you can taste it.
Like
More
that
accurate.
Nasonex stuff? You just right up the nose with the mustard?
Right.
I wonder, Randy, let us know, did you take that message off or did that message just simply disappear? Blink once if you took it off by yourself. Because I read the message and it simply disappeared. It had something to
Thumbs
do.
up if you deleted it. Thumbs down if they.
Did you
deleted it.
delete that or did the overlords delete that? Because it had to do.
I think you can undelete messages if you want to see them, if it was like automatically censored.
What was the message? Can you tell us?
I believe it said something funny about the COVID vaccine, and now we're all gonna get kicked off the air.
Oh boy. Hold on a
Stop
minute.
the feed in its tracks.
Well, I'm wondering if any kind of like this video is gonna get that blue banner, or if we're such a small channel that YouTube's like, nah, let's just stomp on them.
We're
just,
huge. What are you talking about? Small
neck
channel.
meat boot.
Russ. MikeGinthemorning.com.
It says message retracted. Yeah,
Okay,
message
well then-
retracted.
I think maybe that means
So I'm on the Judge Judy Wikipedia. Judge Judy is an American arbitration-based reality court show presided over by former Manhattan Family Court judge.
Okay.
So she's a real judge.
I thought she was a real judge, but I
she
see
was
what
an
you're saying about the
arbitrator in
show,
this
though.
context,
Yeah.
right?
But it's
I
sort of
didn't want to speak out of
misleading.
school and say that she's not a real judge.
Right. But it's still misleading. They're calling the show that because she's not acting in that capacity.
Well, is Judge Janine misleading because she's not acting as a judge on that program? I guess.
Is Dr.
if you
Phil
had-
a doctor?
when you have
presiding in
litigants and you're wearing a robe and stuff
Right,
like that.
that's right.
I'm just arguing, Holy Christ.
That's
I'm
right. No.
I'm playing Judge Judy advocate here.
Right. No, you're a good attorney. I'm going to have a tough one beating you, Mike. So.
Judge
Yeah.
Judy advocate.
Right.
Great.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't see.
So
Randy said he took it off. He forgot to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, God forbid one of our listeners like types something and then decides they don't want to send it. Like Mike will call you out immediately. So think before you
It was
post.
YouTube. They
Poor
did it.
Randy probably was just trying to hide. Like,
That's
no,
right.
no, he said he didn't. He forgot the link. Okay.
Okay. All right. Maybe they've got Randy hostage, and that's why he's saying that. He's like, oh, of course it wasn't YouTube.
Randy, are you okay?
with a
Send an SOS
1911
signal.
to the back of his head.
Like a
telling him,
hostage video.
No, it was
saying he
me.
can take a picture with a photo of he's got the newspaper in his hands to show the date, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're on our way, Randy. Don't worry.
I had a client once where some law enforcement officer contacted them and was trying to make claims that they had given their firearm to some other person who was prohibited. This elaborate concoction in the officer's head, and told her she needed to come down and prove that she still had the gun. I said, first of all, that's not the way this works. Give me this guy. I called him up, and how can I help you? I represent this person. Yeah, well, we just had some concerns, and we just want to make sure everything's above board. I was like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Constitution, but that's not the way it works around here. So do me a favor. If I ever find out that you called my client again, we're going to have serious problems. Understood?
Right.
And just to ensure we had evidence in case these ridiculous accusations ever turned up again,
Right.
I had the client grab a newspaper on the way home and take a photograph with the firearm in the newspaper. That's a great way to show that you got the date, though, right?
Yeah.
Right.
People still
I guess
do
it doesn't work if somebody's accusing you of something a while ago, because if the date has already passed, then
Right.
But if somebody thinks that I can't say that, oh well, you took that picture 2 weeks ago, doesn't work.
Exactly. Right. Doesn't work that way. Yeah. Good luck with that one.
Yeah. Well, no, we never heard from that person again.
Oh, okay.
That officer, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
If
yeah,
we
good
had
job,
heard
I
from
should
that
say.
officer again,
Mm-hmm.
heads would have rolled.
There
with
we
that.
go.
I don't appreciate it when the police treat regular citizens, law-abiding citizens, like criminals, and act like the law-abiding citizens have to prove their innocence just because they're gun owners.
Mm-hmm.
Prove to me that you didn't do anything wrong. Prove to me that you didn't eat breakfast. Get out of my face.
Right.
Sorry, I'm getting kind of grumpy here. Grumpy.
No, it's good.
Grumpy
I'm
Mike.
grumpy at the carnival. You know what I think the issue is, though? And this is why
we're not
some people
focused?
have issues with the legal profession and lawyers in general, is when you have an occupation that has a great deal of responsibility and your actions can impact other people's lives in a profound way, whether positively or negatively, there's really no room for error. And it's not a position where if you do your job poorly and you go outside the bounds of your job, that maybe nobody will notice the difference. Or if they do, it's not a matter of life and death, right? If you're working, I don't want to minimize anybody's profession in any way whatsoever, but what I'm saying is that when you're in a position like an attorney, if you don't do the right thing by your client, that can seriously impact your client's life. And that's with many different areas of the law. If your tax lawyer messes up, then you're going to be in trouble with the IRS. If your criminal defense attorney messes up, they don't do a good job, or they take advantage of you, then you're going to end up in prison. If your real estate attorney doesn't do the right thing, then you can
Mhm.
find out years down the road that you don't have proper title to the house, right?
Right.
These are
Yeah,
serious
the consequences are
There's
huge,
serious
yeah.
consequences.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to think of one of, I've had a lot of jobs growing up. I'm trying to think of.
It's like when you hear about these pilots who are caught
Pilots,
drinking like
yeah.
before flights and stuff, and it's like you're a pilot. Like, what are you doing, hanging out in the bar at the airport? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, a
Like,
pilot's one that
yeah.
you've got to be perfect, right?
right,
I
right.
can't say I do a good
Every
job
time.
most of the time.
Although nowadays the planes do most of the work, but still you need to be there for emergencies.
Well, you
and-
got to do. You still have
Yeah.
to do your job.
That's right,
If you
yeah.
fail to do your job, people will
Mhm.
die.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
one of
Like
my
turbulence. I mean, anything happens during the
Sure.
flights, you know? Just know how
Yeah.
to handle all that.
one of my
they're
good buddies. I want to
professionals.
have him on the show. I don't know if he wants me to talk about his name right now, but he was a commercial pilot for many years, and he said he was talking to a friend of his who was a doctor, saying there was these life and death surgeries, and the pilot said, "Well, if you screw up, one person dies. If I screw up my job, hundreds or thousands of people can die."
That's right. That's
And
right.
It's very true.
Mhm.
So that's why when a law enforcement officer does the wrong thing, first of all, if it's a use of deadly force case, then there are lives that are lost. But even if it's something like charging somebody with a crime or jamming them up, you messing with somebody's liberty. That's a very big deal.
It's huge.
So you
Yeah.
do a bad job at that, people are going to be upset.
Yeah.
And that's why they end up having these negative feelings sometimes. And don't want to take anything away from the law enforcement officers who do a good job. We had Eddie Moy on this program,
Sure.
Todd Hoover, Scott Henninger, great guys.
Mhm.
But I
most
understand
of them are
why
great.
people get angry with lawyers in the legal profession when I see attorneys do things poorly. I understand that, and I think they would understand just as well how you get frustrated with law enforcement officers when they don't do their job,
Yeah, I
or
think
when
you-
they
you
go
shared-
outside the scope of it.
I think you've shared a couple stories with me where you've had to take over cases, firearms related that were handled by attorneys who were not really specialists in that field. And
You don't really want to dabble in this.
Yeah, right, right.
It doesn't work like that. I tell people. So I've had clients over the years. Just had a guy fairly recently who he needed a pardon because he had a conviction in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, you can only expunge a conviction for one of three reasons. Number one is if you're 70 years of age or older, and very few of my clients meet that criteria. Number two is if you've been dead for 3 years. And I've yet to have somebody call my office who's been dead for 3 years. I'm still waiting for that one. Number three is if you get a
get them to vote for Trump this time. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Have to have that conversation with them.
Right.
Number three is if you get a governor's pardon. And, we've been able to do this for many, many people over the years, but sometimes people don't want to believe that that's the only way you could go about it. So we had this one gentleman, and I quoted him the fee, and then he speaks to another attorney who apparently tells him, "Oh, no, you don't need a pardon. I can just take care of it and get it expunged. I know people at the courthouse. I'll take care of it. I'll get it expunged." So the guy called me back and said, "Hey, I just spoke to this other attorney. He wants like a fraction of what you quoted me, and he says he can get it expunged without a pardon." I said, "Listen, man, now I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and you will be wasting your money, and you're going to have to come back to me, and it's going to take longer." And he was like, "No, I trust this guy. He says he gets. I don't need a pardon. He's going to get it expunged. He knows people." Okay. Well, this guy not only obviously didn't get an expungement, but the attorney told him to go and try to buy a firearm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
And the guy
goodness.
gets denied and gets
Ouch.
prosecuted. Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah.
insane.
And then I get the call after the fact. I'm like, dude, sometimes cheap is expensive, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Something
Yeah. You
sounds
told
too
me some
good to be
stories
true.
like this. But
Something
what about
sounds
those attorneys? Shouldn't they be held responsible in some way? Like that's
Oh,
insane. Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't get involved with that.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
Sounds
Talking about
too
messing
good
with
to be
somebody's civil liberties.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about it. I know people down there. Yeah,
I
it's
know
fine.
people.
Yeah.
I hate that stuff.
Yeah, any lawyer that tells you that, you might want to turn the other way.
Run. No, not turn around. Run.
Right. Don't worry about it.
What if they say that they know people?
No, I got it taken care of. I know people.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Just give me my deposit there, and
Totally illegal to say that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Well, unfortunately,
It's kind of like when the police.
They're willing to
officers say
break
they-
that law. They're probably willing to break the law by, jerking you around.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And
Sad
that's
situation.
obviously nefarious to a degree, but
Sure.
then you have other people who don't mean ill by any means, but they're just not capable of handling these kinds of things.
Right.
They don't have the tools. But that guy came back a couple of years later and he was like, please save me. Get me out of this. Fix this.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Could have
that's
saved
a tough
a lot of time, A couple of years had passed by now. We could have been almost done with him. But,
Sure.
live and learn, right?
That's right.
For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. Liberty, did I cut you off?
I don't think so. I was curious though, just randomly, Russ, how are we supposed to get you photos then? Because I had something I wanted to show. If we can't put it in the doc.
I don't know. A document with photos is called a newspaper or a book. So it's
There's this fake article that somebody just sent me. Shout out to Knucklehead in Arizona. Liberal feels sad for man dying of COVID, then happy after hearing he wasn't vaccinated, then sad again.
Wow, that's totally not masochist in any
ridiculous,
way.
Right.
That's not psychotic.
Okay, here's the full headline. Liberal feels sad for man dying of COVID, then happy after hearing he wasn't vaccinated, then sad again because he was an illegal immigrant.
Oh, man.
That's where we're at, though. It's like so crazy. Everything's just so backwards and upside down. Yeah.
It's silly, right?
Right.
I wanted to say something on. I have like Liberty's social media pick of the week. I have always like these crazy segments that are going back and forth. I have quite a few. So if you guys want me to say, I'll say one now and then we have more later. But I guess Sarah Huckabee Sanders was trending because she tweeted an article, like an op-ed about she actually wound up getting the vaccine. But out of the statement, she said, read my column in today's Arkansas Online on why I decided to get the Trump vaccine. What do you think caused an uproar on Twitter?
It's that Trump vaccine.
Yeah,
Trump
Biden
invented it with his bare hands in his basement.
But you can't win. So she decides to go and get the vaccine, and then they're mad that she got the vaccine. It's just, they're just like, so one comment was, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is confused. Trump virus was exacerbated by his refusal to effectively respond to the crisis. His Operation Warp Speed failed to distribute a sufficient number of vaccines. Biden came in and up and made it happen. Thank you, President Biden. You loser, Trump. Oh, and I beeped it out. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 letters. You loser, Trump.
Wow.
Just wanted to say this is the anger that's out there.
Yeah.
And she got, I'm pretty sure she got a lot of likes. But anyway, so
Did you have to count the letters of the F word real quick? Is that
well, that's how many stars I put out. I was making sure. I didn't want to say blank because it was too obvious. I don't know. I was trying to bleep myself.
I told Ralph that you can't say the F word on the air because he literally, but we can say, quote, the F word, right, Russ?
Yeah, you can reference it. You just can't say the actual word.
I don't know.
He literally said it on the air. Yeah, you can't,
like 2 minutes later.
Can't really say the F word.
Right.
Speaking of, let's, Rich Roberts, we're talking war stories in the legal field here. Rich Roberts is ready to rock and roll from what I understand. So, Russ, if you want to bring him in by way of Skype.
Yeah, all right.
Sounds enthusiastic.
Yeah, well,
Come on,
if he has to, he will,
I'm sure Rich is just as enthusiastic.
How many folks who are regular Thursday listeners are going to pop on tomorrow and be upset that they weren't able to comment while we were going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why can't they comment?
What?
Well, if it's already over,
they didn't know,
they can't. They can comment. It just won't be live. You can leave your comments below. And feel free to do so if you're watching this.
Yeah, we're watching it now.
Leave us your comments after the fact. It certainly won't be quite as exciting as DG Celebrity Boxing with Russ, but
What?
I don't even have the chat open today. Whoa, where did Chris go? I think Chris left the building.
Oh, no, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What happened to your video?
he turned into a tree.
I'm just making some adjustments. Hang on a second. I'll be right back.
Russ, I have to ask you something.
God, what?
Gonna ask him on the air?
No, I'm gonna ask him privately. I wanted to. Did I miss something? Is the chat off?
No, the chat is
I just
on.
don't have it open.
What were you saying that people missed it?
What?
We're gonna miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Richard S. Roberts Jr., attorney of Cedar Law. Richard, thank you so much for joining us. The man, the myth, the legend.
I like that. I like that. You should say that more often.
Glad you made it today. And you're donning a T-shirt as well.
I know. It's terrible.
Do my eyes deceive me? You are turning more and more. You're going to turn more and more into Mike G every week now, right?
Can't do that.
He's going to be growing out
his image to maintain.
He's growing out his beard. We're going to catch him wearing a hat next time.
I do wear hats.
He's
not, trying to be professional, but this is not a good look today.
He's got tattoos all over the place.
I do have tattoos. But...
Oh, do you? That's for a separate episode of Mike G in the morning.
That's for a separate of Mike G in the morning. This is the Law Matters. I don't know how that would fit in there.
CB, avid listener of the program, put together a video. I don't know if you had the opportunity to check it. I know that you've been busy, and that's why we got you on later in the program. But put out this video containing footage of Russ and I at the carnival over the weekend. And he's got a new Mike G cartoon at the beginning. And I said, Rich would definitely be jealous of this cartoon because nice and in-shape cartoon. And I know you had some complaints about your midsection in the previous cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Rich and I start doing some boxing training together, and then CB's going to have those cartoons updated. Both of us in shape with tattoos all over the place, right?
Yeah, shirtless, six-pack, the whole 9 yards.
Well, we had some extra mustard for you at the carnival, though.
Frown the mustard.
Rich,
hey, Rich.
We got you pretty timely. We were talking certain things legal, not necessarily criminal defense. I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things we've discussed, and then we were telling some war stories on the criminal defense and firearms law side. So one of the concerns that people have with the vaccine is the fact that the capacity to sue is limited. So we started talking about other areas of our lives that people often sign away their rights unwittingly, really, right? Every time you go into a cell phone store and you sign up for a plan or something like that, many times when you engage in certain activities, listen, we had a seminar at a gun range on Monday, and everybody who showed up had to fill out about a half an hour worth of paperwork and fill out a waiver, not to shoot on the range, to come upstairs and listen to my seminar. That was the policy of the facility. Do you think that people really understand how many of their rights they sign away on a regular basis in the civil context?
Absolutely not. Anybody who's used any sort of software, any sort of cell phone contract, any sort of waiver at a gun range or at an amusement park or a baseball game, there's some lawyers get paid a lot of money to make sure that you sign your rights away in that context. And even if you don't completely sign your rights away, limit what you can do to enforce any rights that may have been violated by that company, right? Yeah. They select a forum, they force you into arbitration. Which
well, explain what that means. Because we talked a little bit about arbitration. We will get to that. But explain, I didn't mention the forum. Explain to them what the forum is.
So if you do a contract, any contract whatsoever, whether it's yourself and another party or with a cell phone company, technology company, they can say any disputes between the two individuals part of this contract shall take place at whatever location.
Harris County, Texas, right?
Right. So exactly. And they can do that. And usually if you're dealing with a large corporation, it's going to be where that corporation is headquartered.
Right, because they don't want to be going all over the place and defending these lawsuits all over the country.
The forum selection is it here, wherever this particular company is located. We talked about the social media lawsuit that the former president was talking about. And one of the issues I think he has is he filed it in the Southern District of Florida, where he is located at Mar-a-Lago. However, the forum selection there is in California. So one of the first problems that people have noticed with his lawsuit is the first motion that Facebook and Twitter are going to file is that, hey, this is a dispute between an individual using the service and the service. And by using the service, he's agreed to any disputes are in this particular location in California. And courts have routinely held, you agreed to it, that's where you got to sue.
A lot of times they want a friendly forum for certain political issues. I'm sure a court in California is going to hear things differently than maybe a Florida or Kansas, right? Or Oklahoma or Texas.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Lawyers do that as a matter of course in any sort of case, especially if you're taking on a constitutional issue. You forum shop to go to the first district court and the intermediate appellate court. That'll give you the best chance to secure the victory for what you're doing to. And you also shop for plaintiffs, right? If you ever look at the stories that lawyers use when plaintiffs bring these suits, they're always usually really good stories.
It's the little old lady who...
Right, little old lady, and like, he's like, wow, how'd you find them? I'm like, well, they went out and looked for her. She didn't walk in the street saying, oh, I have a problem with X, Y, and Z. Oh, what do you do? Wow, I can't believe this happened by happenstance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the game when it comes to being an attorney. I mean, you got to pick your clients when you can. Anyway.
Yeah, we're certainly not that lucky, right? Where they just knock on your door and it's the perfect case.
Right. Well, there's some that are. I think you and I got one coming up in the middle of August. Well, we'll see about that.
That certainly is. That's going to be
a good case, but that's complete luck. When it comes to our particular clients in the criminal defense area, it's just who happens to get stopped and who happens to call our office. So,
and for our listeners, without getting too far into the weeds, it's a hyper-technical argument that requires that the firearm being purchased be a long gun. I think that's as far as I'll get into it. So when we're doing the consult, we're kind of like, please say it's a long gun. Please say it's a long gun. Big money!
Yeah. He was like, I think we did that. We went through it, and Mike was like, what did you attempt to buy? And then he was like, an AR-15. We were both like, yes! He was like, wow, you guys are excited for no reason.
Been waiting for this one. They need to get one of those in Montgomery County. So if you have been denied a firearms purchase in Montgomery County, give Rich and I a call.
I mean, that's hitting a home run in that particular case because it's a very specific set of circumstances that have to exist. And if any one of the circumstances don't exist, this particular argument doesn't work. Doesn't mean
I had somebody I was talking to today, Rich, and it was sort of that kind of thing that you and I have been keeping an eye out for. Something we've been discussing for, I'd say, over 5 years now. And this is a gentleman who roughly 30 years ago was involved in some incident that resulted in a guilty plea to an M1. And for our listeners who are unfamiliar, a misdemeanor of the first degree carries a max possible sentence of 5 years. Why is that significant? Because under federal law, if you're convicted of any felony with a max sentence of over 1 year or any misdemeanor that carries a max possible sentence over 2 years, you're prohibited from possessing firearms throughout the United States for life. And I went to law school because I'm bad at math, but I know that 5 is more than 2. So because the misdemeanor of the first degree carries a max possible sentence of 5 years, whether or not you actually serve 5 years or any time at all, you become prohibited. And he was saying, when I went through it, I specifically asked this person if my rights would be affected, this person meaning his attorney at the time. Specifically asked my attorney, would anything be affected? The attorney said no, said this will not impact your life in any way. You won't lose your gun rights. And guess what? The guy lost his gun rights. Didn't find out because he wasn't an avid firearms guy or anything like that. And didn't find out until years later. Now, you and I have had these discussions about whether or not failure to advise of the loss of a constitutional right. Now, in that situation, he was straight given incorrect advice. So that's even more egregious. But we were talking about whether you could argue that there was ineffective assistance of counsel if the attorney had not advised the client that they would be losing their firearms rights by entering into that guilty plea.
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at that for years, and if anybody listening is in that situation, I'd love to talk to you. So technically, the way the law sits now, you do not have to advise your client on the loss of their Second Amendment rights at the time of a guilty plea. So under the Constitution, with one exception, you only have to advise as an attorney of direct consequences. So punishment, fine, probation. That's it. It's all I have to tell my client about. You plead guilty, you're looking at 5 years probation, $10,000 fine, whatever the case may be. Anything outside of that is what the law considers a collateral consequence, right? So the lawyer has no duty to advise their clients onto a collateral consequences, with the exception of one: any negative immigration consequence. And that was a case that was decided several years ago called Padilla v. Kentucky. It became a new right. It was the first collateral consequence that lawyers had to advise their clients of, that any guilty plea that could or may result in a negative immigration consequence, deportation, loss of his green card, things like that, you need to be able to advise your client or tell him to seek the advice of an immigration law attorney, which is what I'd have to do because I don't know. So that is the only collateral consequence. For example, people talk about in DUI context, most of the times you're convicted of a DUI, there's some sort of a loss of a driver's license privileges for a period of time. The loss of a driver's license is technically a collateral consequence, which I would have no duty to disclose.
That's crazy.
Most times people ask that question. Now, if somebody asks you about a collateral consequence, if you have a duty to inform them, either you don't know, I'll look it up, or what the collateral consequence is. But if they don't, you have no duty to disclose. So the issue that Mike and I were looking at is playing off that Padilla decision, that the loss of a Second Amendment right, like a negative immigration consequence, is so significant to people that you have a duty to advise your client at the time they enter a plea as to whether or not there could be a possible negative Second Amendment consequence.
I thought I remembered around the time the Padilla case came out, there was this wild man who wrote an article for the Pennsylvania Criminal Defense Lawyers Association. Do you remember that?
I don't, actually.
Really? You told me you absolutely loved this article, and it was magnificent, and it was the best written article you've ever read, and you keep a copy of it in your pocket. Remember that?
No, I thought it was a good article. He's a terrible writer. He should have talked to me. My man was very technical.
Well, now I'm not going to give you credit for your proofread of that one. And messing with all my howevers, right? Rich is big on the however. Explain your pet peeve with the however, and then remind me that I want to finish up about this Padilla situation. But tell everybody about your pet peeve with the howevers.
There's certain pet peeves that I have in writing, just the way I do. One is something that hopefully my boss isn't listening, but he drives me insane. He puts punctuation outside of a quotation mark, which is absolutely incorrect no matter what it is. And two, however should never begin a sentence. So however is a disjunctive word that separates two otherwise dependent clauses. So if however begins a sentence, it's technically separating two independent clauses, which is not a proper use of it. So you should be able to separate a sentence. However should become somewhere in the middle. So anytime I read anything that somebody does, I will control F for however, and if I see it in the beginning, I rewrite the sentence.
Absolutely. Scalia was real big on that, right?
Yeah.
That's what I remember you saying the first time. I don't know if you were trying to convince me, but you ruined me for life by saying that, because I can't do it any other way from here on out. A lot of people do it. Now when I hear it or I see it, it even bothers me.
Yeah, I know. Scalia was big on however can never start a sentence. Never start a sentence.
Okay.
So it doesn't serve its purpose there.
I can probably bring up documents that I've written within the last couple of days that have been impacted by the pet peeve of Richard S. Roberts Jr. with the however.
I do.
I
try to bestow upon people my knowledge of proper writing.
That's good.
We should give people some examples. Really, with the punctuation outside of the quotation marks, I think that really bothers me too, seeing the punctuation outside.
It's just the semicolon and the colon are the only two punctuation that goes outside. Everything else go inside. So I remember when I first started at the firm that I work at now, at Zader Law, he used to give me stuff and I used to put it all back in. And they'd take it back in. I'd put it back in. He's like, why do you keep putting it in? I'm like, why is it outside? That looks ridiculous. He's like, it's the right way to do it. I'm like, if you want me to proofread it, it's going back in. And now he just gives up. He's like, I don't even try. Because I was like, if you want to keep it outside, that's fine, but don't say, hey, can you read this? No. No.
See, I got one that I pulled up here. I was doing a travel letter for somebody. It says the information contained in this letter, however, has been gathered from X, Y, and Z. And now, what most people would probably do is say, however, comma, the information contained in this letter has been gathered from X, Y, and Z. Right? Is that what you normally see?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be semicolon, however, comma, right? Isn't it though? Between the two sentences.
Upside down, cross it out.
No. Semicolon separates two sentences.
Now, I will say this, Rich.
It's killing me today.
Yeah.
Should have warned me this is what we were talking about.
We're giving Rich a headache over here. I will say this, that the one time I'm with you with putting the punctuation inside the quotation marks. The one time it irritates me to do that is if you have some kind of a quote that ends the sentence, right? Well, I guess that the punctuation would be there if it ends the sentence either way.
If you're ending the sentence and the punctuation
ending with a question,
it is in a quote, you put it in brackets, which signifies that it's not actually part of the quotation, and you added it in.
I heard in 2022 the period's not going to be used in sentences.
That's ugly looking. Right?
Yeah, the period has been wholly replaced with the term
brackets
low.
are ugly looking, right?
There's going to be fact checkers for it and everything.
Yeah, the brackets are ugly. You got to do the same thing if you put a start of a quotation in the middle of a sentence when it's actually the beginning of a sentence in a quote for the first letter, and that looks terrible.
Can I ask something for grammar for Rich, since he seems to be?
Oh no.
No.
The grammar police.
Can you or may you?
This is not for writing, but this is actually, I worked for a law firm one time, and one of the other lawyers really got on my case because I was just like a legal secretary, and I was answering the phone, and I said, actually, before I said something, and he stopped his whole everything. He said, you are not supposed to use actually. It's an unnecessary word. Don't use the word actually. And it made me so self-conscious, to not use that word. But I was just curious, like, just to settle the score, like, either way, is actually
slap that guy.
Well, I think it's a bit redundant because I don't know if it's improper per se, but it's a bit redundant because what you're going to say is a disagreement with whatever he said. So saying actually just kind of tells you I'm going to disagree with you. I already knew it because you're going to say a sentence.
Okay.
So it's just an unnecessary. It's not improper. I just think he finds it to be unnecessary.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the kind of guy who talks like a robot and nobody likes him, right?
Yeah, he was he was like that, but it was not even like disagreeing. I was just like, oh, actually, they're not in today. It was really simple.
Well, what happened probably was that you said you were gonna go and get him. You come back and realize he's not there. Actually, he's not in today. Is that,
it was like
the situation? As a matter of, I was gonna go get him, but as a matter of fact, he's not here, right?
I got scolded so bad. I decided at that moment I did not like lawyers anymore. Sorry.
All right. Listen, everybody
Rich is bringing back memories
till they need one, and it's okay. Then everybody loves the lawyer.
Yeah.
Right. Well, just not that kind. It's okay. We could not like certain lawyers, right?
Yeah, that's true. There's lots of lawyers I don't like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Rich, let's talk a little bit more about this collateral consequences situation, because what I was discussing with this gentleman, and this is an important factor and why we don't see this happen every day, because I'd say it's not rare that we get the call that somebody lost their rights and didn't realize that they did. What doesn't usually happen is that we get that call before the court no longer has jurisdiction, meaning when they're no longer being penalized, they're not on probation. Why don't you explain that a little bit?
So in order to attack these convictions, you have to go through Pennsylvania's Post-Conviction Relief Act. One of the requirements is that the person currently serving a sentence, so incarcerated, on probation, or parole, as soon as their sentence is completed, they completely max out. If the probation is 5 years, they're done. They call us in 6 years. Even if it's the most egregious violation, there's literally nothing we can do because the court doesn't have jurisdiction. And jurisdiction is a prerequisite for any court to be able to do anything, right? If a court does not have jurisdiction, they literally can't do anything because they have no power to do so. So the legislature has limited people to only people currently serving a sentence. So if this guy calls 30 years ago, unless he was convicted of homicide where his maximum sentence was 75 years, he's probably not going to be serving a sentence anymore. So that is not going to be a case, because we're not even going to get to argue about whether or not the Second Amendment should be included like Padilla was included, because he's no longer serving a sentence. And in the Padilla case, even the federal statute, which covers that, which is the Anti-Terrorism Effective Death Penalty Act, also requires the individual to be currently serving a sentence. So both in Pennsylvania and federally, we need to find somebody who not only lost their firearms rights unknowingly, but is currently still serving a sentence.
Right. And that's the tough part, because usually by the time we find out, it's too late. Like this gentleman who's telling me about this was, decades ago. There's nothing you can do about it.
Crazy.
I had one that was heartbreaking, because it was an offense that clearly the judge didn't think was all that serious, because he sentenced no further penalty. I mean, I heard one time somebody said that the judge put them on probation from the time it took them to go down and pay the costs and fines, right? And that was just that was the end of that. The person was never on probation. And then once that was done, the court no longer had jurisdiction. So the person had lost their rights, did not realize it. And even though they were calling me 2 weeks later, there was nothing we could do about it.
Right, because the court's without jurisdiction.
And that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Because clearly it was a situation where the person was pleading guilty for practical reasons. Maybe we should talk about that a little bit as well. An Alford plea.
Well, yeah, an Alford plea, practical reasons is you get a lot of individuals I know I discuss. Well, if he didn't do anything wrong, he wouldn't plead guilty.
Right.
Well, that's not always true, because you go, hey, all right, so I think we could do a recent case where our client was allegedly pointed a firearm at somebody, threatened to blow his brains out as he was attacked. He was being attacked by this gentleman, him and his wife, right? So they charged him with the litany of offenses. He comes in, got a good self-defense argument. The quote unquote victim's testimony didn't go so well. The district attorney offered him disorderly conduct. Okay. So he pled guilty to disorderly conduct, got like a $5 fine, goes on with the rest of his life. And in that situation, well, why did he plead guilty if he didn't do anything wrong? I said, well, the issue is, and I know Mike has talked about it, when it comes to self-defense cases, that's a defense at trial. And let me tell you about 12 jurors. You can never predict what they're going to do. I can't predict any time what they're going to do. I've had great cases I'd lose. I've had bad cases that I've won. You don't know. So it's a risk when you go to that point. So the risk is this guy could do some prison time, be a convicted felon, certainly be a convicted felon for the rest of his life, lose his firearms rights, or do I plead guilty to disorderly conduct, admitting that basically he did some action that had no legitimate purpose and pay a fine and go home? Well, he pleads guilty. That's a smart move. I would have done the same thing. I think that Mike and I advised him. He asked our opinion. I go, you'd be an idiot not to do that, because the risk if you lose is substantial. The penalty for disorderly conduct is $300.
Yeah,
I'm going to pay $300 and you go home.
It's a non-traffic summary offense. So it's basically like a traffic ticket, but not traffic.
It's basically a speeding ticket. If you got a speeding ticket, it's literally the same level of offense. And I think that happens with lots of people. I mean, they look at, what do I risk if I lose? And that's a conversation that Mike and I have had with hundreds, if not thousands of clients. If you lose, this is what you're facing. If you take this plea, this is what you will get, right? And the decision that every single client has to make is, are you comfortable with those consequences should you lose?
Yeah,
right? That is the decision you have to make. So he didn't do anything wrong, but I'd rather do probation for 2 years than risk going to jail for 5. Okay. So you plead guilty, you do the jail for 2 years. Does that mean he did anything wrong? No, that's just a smart, prudent move for that particular client. Because when it comes down to us, all I can give you and all Mike can give you really is legal advice, right? I don't know your family circumstances. I don't know your job situation. Your kids are about to go to college. You're the sole income, take care of 500 kids. I don't know what your situation is. And you have to make a decision that's best not only for you, but your family, your career, your job, the rest of your life. Because, and I've been known this phrase, and Mike has heard me say it. I say, because listen, at the end of the day, I walk out the front door of the courthouse no matter what. Right? It's not to be cold-hearted or anything like that. Like, at the end of the day, win or lose, I'm going out the front door. Right? At the end of the day, you may not walk out the front door, and you may not be a free person. And it's something you seriously have to consider anytime that happens, because if I don't or Mike doesn't advise you of that, we're certainly not doing our job. And the Board of Licensing will certainly have a discussion with us in due course.
Oh, absolutely.
And if anybody's ever seen, well, I don't know if anybody who's listening, but I've been argued in front of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. But before every oral argument session, they have lawyers there who are subject to discipline. And I remember, because I had been a lawyer for not very long in my Supreme Court argument, they go up first. You stand in front of the 9 justices of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and they basically call you a scumbag. And then either, well, they'll disbar you, or they'll say, you're suspended for 2 years. Now get out of my face. Like you're a child getting scolded by your parents when you did something wrong. And it was just, I couldn't imagine doing that. And I think if any young attorney who needs to see that, I mean, it's tough. You got to go to Harrisburg. They only sit so often. But to see that, I think it really rings true. Like, you have an ethical responsibility. And those justices take very seriously, because we face the public and we represent people all the time. And it's our job to fight for them ethically and make sure we do our best to give them sound advice.
What types of things get attorneys disbarred? What would that take?
Well, to get disbarred, basically the number one thing is stealing your client's money. So if the client pays a retainer, you put it in your trust account, you haven't earned that money yet because you haven't done any work, and you use it for something else. Even if you, quote, pay that money back, that you're not going to be a lawyer for very long once they find that out.
Okay.
That is the number one way. And then other than that, individuals who are neglecting their clients, most of them have substance abuse issues and things like that. But disbarment, the number one thing is you steal your client's money. Misappropriation of funds.
Okay.
Missing deadlines, right? Missing deadlines, not showing up.
Not showing up to court. Courts certainly have understanding of caseloads and things like that, but it's got to be an egregious conduct. Lack of communication is probably the number one priority, or the number one complaint from clients and lawyers. And I know I make it, and Mike and I, since we do as many cases as we do together, one of the things that we discussed before we got into that partnership was we're both very committed to, we call it customer service, but client service.
Sure.
That understand that we're not available 24 hours a day, but somebody calls by the end of the next business day, they have a call back. We send an email. Hey, sorry, we're in court. You available tomorrow? Set up a call, or have one of our staff set up a call. Because just simple 5-minute call makes people happier than you can imagine, because they know what's going on. They know what, we're involved in their case. And those things are what make the most effective lawyers. It's just simply picking up the phone and talking to people.
And communication is key, as they say.
Yeah.
I want to get to this comment in a minute, but I want to say something about what people sometimes don't understand about the criminal justice system, who make comments like you mentioned that, well, if they weren't guilty, why did they enter into that guilty plea? And I don't think we did specifically discuss the Alford plea, but Alford, North Carolina case, the Supreme Court basically acknowledged the fact that you can plead guilty for practical purposes, and somebody can maintain their factual innocence while pleading guilty for those practical purposes. So they can say, yes, I plead guilty. I acknowledge that the Commonwealth, or I guess it wouldn't be the Commonwealth in other places, but the government has enough evidence. There's a factual base, there's evidence to convict me, but I didn't do it. I am innocent. I did not commit this crime. I plead guilty. Basically, what you can do. And the Third Circuit has said that it's a type of NOLO plea, is the way they've described it. And NOLO means no contest. You're acknowledging the evidence, but you're maintaining factual innocence. That could have implications on civil cases that follow thereafter. But people make the mistake of thinking that NOLO is not a guilty plea. Well, it's a conviction. It's certainly a conviction in the circumstances. So that is going to impact your gun rights. You know, we deal with these cases. I don't think people realize what there is to lose when you go through with litigation. I've had cases where we have won and the client has a situation where their health has deteriorated over the course of 2 years. They've had countless sleepless nights. They've had severe physical issues, all kinds of medical attention required. I've had clients who have lost their job, lost their career for all intents and purposes. I've had clients who have ended up divorced over a course of 2 years, spent tens of thousands of dollars to get that positive result. So if you walk out of court and you get not guilty, and don't get me wrong, those are my two favorite words when strung together in the English language. Love
There's
hearing
nothing better
not
than
guilty.
that, Mike. There's nothing better than that, Mike.
Nothing better
Nothing
than
better
not
than that.
guilty. But at the end of that case, when somebody's lost their health, their marriage, tens of thousands of dollars, their career, does anybody truly win that case? And I think until you've actually been through that process, or you've been alongside that process so many times like we have, maybe you wouldn't understand why somebody would enter into a plea agreement so long as it didn't impact rights X, Y, and Z, whatever's important to that person.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think a lack of exposure to the criminal justice system and what it really is day in, day out, it's just misinformed. You know, I think too many people watch the Law and Order episodes and think this thing takes an hour. It takes years from the time, whatever the incident is, self-defense incident, you know, DUI, whatever the crime is, the average time is 18 months to 2 years. And especially the more serious the case, the longer it's going to take. Just
Right.
because the police investigation will take longer, our investigation will take longer. And I mean, it's hanging over your head the whole time. And that's what you're thinking about and you fixate on as the client. And when it comes down to it, I can't make the wheels of justice turn, but they turn very slowly.
Right.
And
We're at their mercy.
We're at their mercy. And it's only getting longer. Courts are backed up. Things are starting to get moving. So that makes me happy. People are getting their day in court. But I mean, it's still a long process. It's a long time. So when you're faced with that divorce, losing your kids in a custody battle, losing your career, those are all considerations that we as attorneys don't have, right? Because this is a concern that we have to tell them that you need to consider this, right? Because maybe you win at the end, but if you lose everything, did you really win? And I think that's what you're getting at. And it may not lose everything, but you're vindicated at the end. Okay, it's good. I'm happy. But, you know, was it worth it? And that's a decision that people have to make. And so when people say, well, they pled guilty, and I go, well, there's lots of reasons that people plead guilty. And some people do plead guilty because they're guilty. I don't right? So I don't want you to think nobody pleads guilty because
There is that, yeah.
There is that. Some people will plead guilty like, yeah, I did it. You got me, but I just don't want to go to jail for a year. Can you get me some probation? You know, and that's certainly a situation. I've had my fair share of those, but there's more than simply just that.
Let's answer a question over here from Eric. He says, could you still lose your Second Amendment rights like forever? And so we responded, for what? A conviction? And he said, a guilty plea. Well, a guilty plea is a conviction. And you absolutely can lose your Second Amendment rights if the offense would render you prohibited from possessing firearms. It's not like they fall off or go away, because you say forever. It's not like they fall off or go away on their own for these convictions. So unless and until you seek and are granted the requisite relief, like we were discussing earlier, and different states will have different mechanisms for that, be prohibited from possessing firearms based upon a guilty plea? Absolutely. That gentleman I was talking about earlier who pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor of the first degree, he is prohibited from possessing firearms, period. I had a client one time, Rich, who, going through all these questions and asked him if he'd ever been convicted, he said no. And then we start to do our investigation and something turns up. I was like, dude, this is your name and date of birth and looks like a conviction to me. He goes, oh, no, I wasn't convicted. I pleaded guilty. I said, guilty plea is a conviction. And what he said to me, I could get how somebody who's not in court every day like we are would make this distinction. What he said was, when I think of convicted, I think of trial with the judge and a jury. They find me guilty and they convict me. He said, I didn't do that. I went in front of a judge and I entered a plea. I said, well, I hear what you're saying. I can see why you perhaps made that mistake and were confused, but a guilty plea absolutely is a conviction.
Oh, you convicted yourself.
You convicted yourself.
Yeah,
right?
you convicted yourself. You said, I did it. Right, I did it. Yeah, that's me. Right, we don't even need a jury to show up.
Right.
Good, I did it. I mean, that's convicting yourself. And we talked about the nolo contendere plea, which is available in Pennsylvania. That's also a conviction. And I've heard that. Well, I wasn't convicted. I pleaded no contest. And I go, that's conviction. Are you sure? I'm like, I'm pretty sure what the judge said during the plea was, even though you're pleading no contest, this is treated no differently and is a conviction. He's like, I don't remember that. I'm like, I guarantee the judge said that because I've done that, and every single judge says that. It's part of his appeal. So you understand simply by saying no contest, we're like, oh, he said no contest, not guilty. Don't have to worry about this penalty. No. It's treated exactly the same way. So it allows you to maintain your factual innocence, but allows you to say, yeah, if the Commonwealth put all this in front of a jury could convict me. So it's a way to.
Is that often an issue with DUI cases, where somebody's confused as to what their previous convictions were?
Well, the previous convictions with DUI, just how long they are ago. There's a time frame where the previous convictions count to enhance punishment. That's where the confusion happens with DUI cases, and whether it's inside or outside of 10 years. Usually somebody who's had a DUI a long time ago wants to know if that DUI is going to affect their ability or get an increased punishment.
I've got a good idea for our listeners right now. Regardless of whether you did have a DUI within 10 years or not, don't get another DUI. How about that?
Don't do it a second time.
Regardless of how many you've had or when they were, don't get any more. How about that?
Don't do it again.
That's very good advice. But if you do, I am available.
Richard S. Roberts Jr. We don't even want to joke like that. They're going to have some slimy civil attorney say, this guy got a DUI and Rich Roberts said it was okay.
Said it was okay. I said, if you get one, you're going to need effective legal representation.
Well, that is very true. That's a good point. You certainly don't want to be making any statements or doing things without an understanding of the consequences, right? Because people then have consequences associated with these kinds of cases.
Right. I mean, DUI especially, and a DUI I find is doesn't discriminate. So I've had people who, have been terrible human beings get DUIs, and I've had, the father of 4 who attends church on a regular basis, a PTA member, because I think there's not a single person in the world that I've ever run into who can't recall a time in their life where they got home after being out at the bar or a party or a picnic, got home and went, man, I'm glad I didn't get pulled over. Right? I think every single human being who's lived, maybe not everybody, but most people have had that experience and just got lucky, And for me, when it comes to DUIs, it runs gamuts. I've had, low life, so to speak, and then I've had CEOs with DUIs. It doesn't discriminate. People all the time have drank one too many and got their ride home.
That's what's great about like Uber, and these other ride services.
Yeah,
why take the risk? Yeah.
Right. I say that all the time. It's interesting because when you look at DUI statistics the last few years, excluding the pandemic year because nobody was allowed to go anywhere, they were on the rise. And I go, I remember when I was younger, it was a pain in the neck because you had to go somewhere that actually had yellow taxi cabs. But now it's on your phone. They literally come to where you're standing.
They come to your house, yeah.
In the street and hit, I need an Uber. And they stand in the middle of the street and the guy will literally pull up next to you. I'm like, I don't understand. And then the worst is, and I've heard this from clients, and it's my little PSA. It's like, well, I didn't want to spend the money on an Uber. I'm like, I just got a question. How much are you paying me? And they tell me, how much was that Uber ride? Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't that much. And Uber Black didn't cost that much. So
like a lifetime supply of Uber.
yeah. You get Uber for the rest of your life.
Right. That's right.
Uber gift, you're good. You know what you're gonna have to pay us.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's a situation. I don't get it. But people make mistakes, and that's the majority of the practice that I have as a criminal defense attorney, and I make sure to let people know that. I mean, I defend some bad people. Don't get me wrong, but most of them are just normal people who made their mistakes. And I know I've said this before. My job is to make sure that they're not judged by their worst day.
I like that comment that it's a little more expensive than an Uber. There was a guy in college who was an RA. He was one of the guys who worked in the dorms. And as a result, I believe he didn't have to pay tuition, or maybe he got half off or something. And got heavily intoxicated one night and caused a little bit of trouble. I don't think it was anything outrageous. But when he got busted by whomever, he said, "It's okay, I'm an RA." Probably a bad move, right?
That's definitely a bad move.
Isn't that like knowing somebody at the courthouse, Mike? Like
Right, yeah. Well, once he brought that to their attention, there were other penalties that followed and ended up losing that position.
Right.
And
So-
it became known as, I think, the $40,000 night out.
Right. Right. No, I tell
Ouch.
people that. It's an
Yeah.
expensive. Yeah, wasn't it? He said, "Do you know I'm an RA? You're a former RA." Is what we're
Yeah.
telling
Right.
There used to be.
you. You used to be. Used to be. You're missing from your sentence there.
I shouldn't be laughing because it's a sad story when you think
Right.
about it. But now, Rich, another thing that people might not realize is that second offense highest rate is a misdemeanor of the first degree, right? So you'd lose your lose your gun rights for life. I see that happen to people all the
right.
time. They come on and say, "I don't have anything that would prohibit me. I just had a couple of DUIs." Like, oh well, ding, 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 ding.
Right. I instantly think about that. So, and I mean, if you're concerned about your Second Amendment rights, that's something I use if the district attorney's office wants to offer a plea. Can't do the highest rate because he's going to lose his firearms rights.
Well, also, the gradings on different levels of DUI have changed over the years.
Yes, they all used to be misdemeanors of the second degree till 2008, maybe somewhere in there. And now they increased the grading for third offense highest rate. So that's either above a 0.16 or you're under the influence of drugs. And all fourth offenses are now felonies. And to be honest, when I read the law, of course, I do a lot of DUI cases. I went, I can't really complain about that. That seems appropriate. if you got four DUIs in 10 years, and they're like, "Why is it a felony?" I'm like, listen, I'm not here to judge, but you got four in 10 years. That's
pretty bad.
That's a lot. And then I mean, hopefully that's a wake up call, because if you got 4 in 10 years, you probably have an issue. That would just be my guess.
Yeah.
Or you're the
Hope those
unluckiest
people-
person I've ever met.
Yeah, we don't want that
Or
happening.
both probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't want that happening.
No, it's not good.
Rich, do you have any advice for people? And we're going to let you go because I know that you owe little Richard some ice cream at this point. But before you
He
go,
really likes you, by the way, Mike. I just want to point that out.
oh
He's a-
yeah,
He likes you because you get him ice cream all the time.
I single-handedly created Ice Cream Thursday over there. Although
though-
it didn't sound like he liked me or anybody for that matter last week, right?
He was all right. He was mad because his sister was getting all the attention.
Oh, was that it?
She got to be on the camera, and he was like, "Why don't I get to get on the camera?" I was like, "Because she's cuter than you are. I can't help it."
Oh no, that's ridiculous. You tell little Richard that your boss said he's welcome on this program anytime.
It's like nothing frustrates Rich more than have Mike say he's his boss. I did actually find one thing that irritates me more. I was in court the other week, and I had a guy come up to me and ask me if I was a public defender.
Oh, that's
What?
good.
It's like no. They're insulted by that. I didn't know what to say. I was like flabbergasted.
What comes to my mind is the next scene is the one from Chappelle's Show with Rick James. He's like, "Public defender, I'm Rich Roberts." Slap.
Putting your feet up on the white couch.
CB's got to make a cartoon of that one, right? Rich
Yeah, that'll be
Roberts
good.
giving the slap. Somebody asking the public
Very
defender.
upset
Right.
about this.
You are one of the best dressed attorneys or individuals, for that matter, that I know.
Yeah, that I take pride in that. I know,
Mm.
except for my terrible T-shirt today. But yeah, I have to go dressed. I think it's part of the gig. I said one of the reasons I went to law school, I have to wear a suit every day.
There you
So
go.
I like being suit. It's pressed. It's tailored. I'm like the frumpy guy in the corner. That's the public defender. That's I just like look at. I was very upset. You have no idea. That flustered me, if not more than Mike G being my boss. I was very infuriated. And I remember I went back to the office and said that, and everybody went, "Oh!" And it was like, "You were mad, weren't you?" I'm like, "You have no idea. I almost threw that guy down the steps." Like, no.
There we
It's
go.
T-shirt time for the
Right.
lawyers on Mike G in the morning.
That's right.
Okay, hold on. Before Rich goes, CB made a new Rich Roberts cartoon. So I'm going to go get that. Hold on.
Oh no.
What do we have? Do we have it? Did I
Talk
lose it?
amongst yourselves. He sent it in I have to find it. So just keep it.
Okay,
Go, Russ.
we're gonna grab it. And you know
Go,
what,
Russ.
Rich? I think that I'm going to slap that individual as well, who mistook you for the public defender, because if you're a public defender, that means that your boss is also a public defender. Isn't that true?
I was just thinking about that.
My boss is his intellectual level is on the level.
Your boss is the biggest public defender of them all, right? What is that?
Definitely. Like if you I tell him all the time, you and Mike are great attorneys. I'm like, well, I'm a great attorney. Mike rides on the coat.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to talk to Mike. Do you want to go home or do you want to go to jail? I want to go home. Then don't talk to Mike.
It's okay, Rich.
The gloves are off tonight.
No, it's all right. Mike knows the truth. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do know the truth. That's why I don't get irritated.
There we go. You guys are good. You're good with the comebacks, both of you.
You know the funny thing.
I'll let it slide. I'll keep signing your checks.
Right.
You better be there on Friday. You missed it. right?
Okay, I just put it in the doc. It's really funny.
Hold on. Before we get this, I've got to say this on the air. I've got to say this on the air because this is pretty funny. I don't know if I can pull this up. I don't think. And this is public information because it's out there on social media. So I don't think that I'm crossing any lines by saying this. Rich, can I talk about that? The social media post that explained everything to me. If you don't want me to, I won't. Okay.
Yeah, no, go right
He works
ahead.
for you, Mike. You can talk about whatever you want.
No.
Oh, man.
Sorry. Just trying to be
So
funny.
when I see Mike next week, hey, Rich, I'm like, I'm unavailable.
Yeah, right. I'm like some attorneys on this call whose names rhyme with Smitchard Schmobert. I try to be respectful and mindful of individuals. So this is, I was laughing out loud when I read this because it explains. So I've known Rich for a long time, and obviously he busts chops. That's in his nature. And there's this nice picture of him and his wife. I don't know if the two of you were married at the time.
Those are engagement photos. I know what you're
Engagement photos.
They're
Okay.
engagement photos. Right.
So what are we looking at? Around 10 years ago?
Yeah, 9 years ago, actually. It's 10 years next year.
Okay. So you've got Rich over here. And he's in this nice dress up. I can't even say this. I can't get through this without laughing.
This
I'm
is
looking
funny because
I'm looking at the photo right now. And it's a nice picture then. You know, they're leaning up against a tree. And Rich is in this nice purple shirt, dress shirt. First comment, Lucas Roberts, you look like you're gay. Very first comment from his brother. I said, if Rich grew up with this kind of harassment, that explains a whole heck of a lot.
That was it.
If this is what he dealt with 24 hours a day from his siblings, that explains a lot. Now I know why Rich Roberts is the way that he is.
Funny.
He said that to me. I was like, this explains everything. I'm like, it absolutely does. It was that way all the time. All the time. But that's what, I mean, you got to keep it a little lighthearted. And you know what's, it's funny. I try to bring that to my office. I bust chops all the time. It's what I do. You got to be able to laugh. You gotta be able to laugh at yourself. The only thing that gets upsetting on those things is if some guy's busting your chops, you say something back to him and he gets mad. I'm like, listen, that's not the way this works. If you're gonna get mad, you got to be quiet. That doesn't work.
Right.
And I remember when Mike at first asked me to come on the show, he's like, basically, we're just gonna talk like we talk, except we'll be on the air. And I think people will like it. And this is literally when Mike and I are like, do you do that outside of on the air? I'm like, I'll call him tomorrow and say some stuff. Oh, by the way, I was thinking about something. And yeah, it's just, it's just how we work so well together. And if you can't bust each other's chops and have a good time, it's going to be a miserable life.
This is a great cartoon. You got to pull this up, Russ.
Oh, no.
Can you see this, Rich?
I do. I can see it.
You got Richard S. Roberts in the boxing gym. Looking good. Looking good, Rich. We're going to have to put that out there from CB. Yeah.
Awesome. I like the shirt, too.
CB got on Rich's good side.
CB, you're good with me on that one.
A little bit of a boxing background, Rich.
If you put Mike G laying on the ground with me standing on him.
Can't wait for next week.
Listen.
Maybe Mike G face down.
Sometimes
Rich's foot on his back.
We include a little bit of embellishments of what we're doing on the air for entertainment value, but that's just ridiculous. People will no longer watch the program. They'll say, you know what?
It's just too ridiculous.
Those guys lost me. They really jumped the shark.
Right.
Yeah. A little bit of a boxing background, Rich.
I do. I boxed when I was younger. It was something that my father, I would say encouraged, but more like forced me to do. So I did Golden Gloves in Pennsylvania. It was one of the best experiences I ever had in my life. I don't know how people do it to make a living. God bless boxers, because I'm like, you guys are going to get punched in the face for the rest of your life. Good for you. I couldn't do that. But I think it just taught you a lot. I think a couple of things is how to get back up, because somebody's going to be better, and shows you how to, take a punch and keep coming. It teaches discipline. And I think it was an experience that you had. And I think it was a formative experience because of that. And it was something I got to do with my father. So he really encouraged me. The guy who owned the gym when I was growing up was a gentleman that he fought in Vietnam with. So.
Wow. Very cool.
So
out of Allentown?
It was in Northampton, actually, where the gym was.
Northampton.
So just north. It's just north of Allentown. So, small.
Is it still around?
I don't think it is. I think he's passed away a few years ago as well. So, yeah, but no, it was a great experience. I really liked it. And the other thing you learn is 3 minutes is a really long time. Yeah.
Have you done 5?
No, I haven't done 5.
Have you done 5 with fist, feet, elbows, knees, and grappling involved?
We don't do kick fighting. That's for the amateur.
Nothing says amateur like an elbow to the face, right? In my sport, that's routine, and yours it's like, hey, you broke the rules. Don't help me in the face.
You can't do that.
That's against the rules. We said we're not going to touch the hair.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's funny. Oh,
Rich, unless you've got to run, and feel free to let me know if you absolutely have. Or do you have to run right now? Okay,
You can just private message everybody.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. You guys could have warned me that.
Right.
Oh yeah, he's gotta let us know. He didn't let us know on the deal, did he? He did send us a message.
No, he didn't. I said a private message. I think she was making fun of me because it pops up on the screen.
Yeah,
Who sent a message?
He's like, I gotta go. I'm sick and tired of you folks. I had it.
Hurt my feelings, Mike. Hurt my feelings.
I just want to talk briefly, and maybe we can save the better part of this conversation for another episode. But I think that a lot of people have eye-opening experiences when they deal with law enforcement officers for the first time, where there are consequences on the line. And I'm not just talking about a speeding ticket or something like that, but they get involved in a situation where there's interaction with law enforcement officers where they legitimately did nothing wrong, but perhaps the law enforcement officers are treating them like they are the criminal or they're a suspect. and they realize how important it is to assert their rights, sometimes it's too late. Do you find that sometimes people don't heed advice ahead of time, and they really can only learn the hard way when it comes to these types of interactions?
Well, yeah, I think that people don't heed their advice. And I think it's a human nature situation, because you've done nothing wrong. You want to let that officer know, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Okay. He doesn't have to believe you. He may not believe you. The physical evidence he sees at the time may point in a different direction. So, but people have this need to get out their story and let everybody know, I'm right, the cop is wrong. One of the things I tell people before they get in trouble is the thing that you have to learn is you're never going to win a case on the side of the road.
Right.
You're never going to win a case when the police are knocking on your front door. It's never going to happen. I don't care how right you are. I don't care how right you are. Doesn't matter. At that moment, nothing's going to help you except, to use Mike's phrase, and I hate to say it, lawyer up and shut up. Invoke your right. Do not consent to any searches and go from there. The time to win your case is in a courtroom. And that's really what it comes down to. But I think there's human nature. Like, this cop is wrong. I'm going to tell him how wrong he is. Let me tell you how much of that he's going to listen to. Nothing.
Right.
But what he's going to listen to is everything that you say that supports his belief that you did something wrong.
Exactly. And also try to find some kind of a discrepancy, right?
Correct. I mean, we talk about it in the seminars. Why don't I give a statement? I go, all right, well, here's what happens. We talk about in the critical incident, physiological effects of the body. You make a statement, gets a statement. Who's going to show up? Crime scene's going to show up, and they're going to examine everything. Blood spatter, ballistics, bullet trajectory, what have you. Okay. Well, look at your statement. Look at the physical evidence. Statement doesn't match this. What are they going to think? You're lying. What does that point to? You did something wrong. Why make a statement? I mean, you consent to a search. Oh, you knew it was there. I didn't know that was there. Well, you consented to the search. I mean, that's a situation. And I think it's also human nature is if I don't talk, I don't consent, I look guilty. Okay. All right. So you look guilty. So you consent, and then you feel innocent in jail. Or you look guilty at home. I don't know which one you would like, but I presume looking guilty at home is my preference. And I think if anything teaches you anything, somebody who's been in trouble before knows the rights, knows the risks of talking. Shut up. I had a client walk into my office, charged with a couple of offenses, right? He had been in trouble, very serious trouble, about 10 years before. Talked to him, the police show up. I go, did you talk to the police? And he gave me the look like, how dumb do you think? No, I didn't talk to the police. And I'm like, actually, once we get you out of this situation, I'm going to tag you along with me to some of these seminars, because I have lots of people. And you can tell them why you don't talk to the police. And I go, why would you do that? I go, I don't know, but people do it all the time. He goes, seriously? People do it all the time? I'm like, you've met them? I'm like, yeah, they're all in jail cells next to me. I go, I know. Because I say all the time, have you ever noticed, Mike, in your experience, represented hundreds, if not thousands of people, in any one case, have you ever seen somebody talk themselves out of trouble?
I have never seen it. I've never seen it.
Have you seen somebody talk themselves right into trouble?
Quite a few, as a matter of fact.
Quite a few times. Let me pull out my client list. That's one.
Yeah, right. This guy, this gal. Certainly. I think that what people don't realize, and unfortunately, you don't find this out until it's too late many of the times, is that it only takes one thing. It takes one law enforcement officer who's trying to jam you up. It takes one misstep on your part, and that'll have serious consequences and serious implications on the rest of your life that many times cannot be undone. It's almost like we're talking about before with airline pilots, right? It takes one bad airline pilot and one misstep to get people killed. And you could have had all these great flights beforehand. You could have thought the world about pilots beforehand. And when that happens, that bell cannot be unrung. And unfortunately, after somebody goes through that kind of a situation, they learn their lesson many times. You and I are fortunate that we don't have to deal with those situations in the role of defendant to know this information, right? But I see a lot of people have very eye-opening experiences, and many times they're very painful experiences, because even people who may see a circumstance happen where they could learn something from it, and it could be a teachable moment if they're from the outside looking in, like we're telling these stories. I know there are people out there who will say, well, the person that got jammed up in that situation, here's what he did wrong. No, if he would have just done this, he would have been okay, even if he didn't lawyer up and shut up. There's always going to be somebody who thinks about how they could have done it better. And, well, here's what really went on. It can't possibly be that you should invoke your rights under the Constitution. Here's what that person did wrong. And then someday that person's going to end up in that situation, and they're going to learn the hard way.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate, because they think they just have a belief that they're the smart one and that they're innocent. And a lot of times when I run into them, they are, but they're going to talk and they're going to prove to that officer they did nothing wrong, not realizing that the officer really doesn't care what you have to say unless it incriminates you. And that doesn't make it a bad officer. It's not his job. He's not there, and then especially in situations, I think it happens, you end up with domestic incidents. You got two sides to the story, right? Well, I told him my side of the story, and my side said there's nothing wrong. I'm like, well, the other person said this is what happened, which makes it a crime. He's like, well, I'm telling the truth. Well, I believe you. Why doesn't the cop believe me? The cop may believe you, but he's got two sides of the story. You know what that's called? He goes, what? That's a jury question, my friend. He's not there to make that determination. He's there to go, I got two different stories. This one says it's a crime. This is not a crime. You know what that's for? That's for 12 people. That's not me. Right. So what you've done there is now given the opportunity for them to pick apart your story, and one of those situations where you don't have to. I'll let you tell your story when you get on the stand. And then the prosecutor gets 20 minutes to pick it apart, as opposed to, 2 years.
Do you think the reason why some people get such a bad taste in their mouth with regards to law enforcement is because they've had this position, and if you get a bad law enforcement officer, they're in such a position of power that they can ruin somebody's life by doing the wrong thing? Now, whether they're just doing their job in a situation that doesn't work out for the person is one thing. But then, of course, just like there are bad lawyers who do nefarious things, like we spoke about on the program, there are bad law enforcement officers who don't follow the rules. For example, trying to talk to an individual when they know that they're represented by counsel, or something like that. Right?
I wonder what that brought that to your attention.
It's doing something totally outside the bounds of the law. Do you think that's why some people get a bad taste in their mouth? Is because maybe it's not necessarily that all of them are bad, but the ones who are bad, they can have some serious consequences, even if it's not an issue of force or deadly force, right? Maybe you didn't kill somebody, make the wrong decision in that aspect. But even with jamming somebody else up in the legal system, that can ruin their life, can it?
Right. I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the program. Does anybody really win if we get a not guilty at the end, depending on that particular person's circumstances? It's a huge deal, and it may not be the officers having a bad intention. Maybe he misinterpreted evidence. Maybe what he thought he saw isn't really what he saw. You and I have done cross-examination. Well, you said it's X, Y, and Z. Well, let me ask you about that. Let's take it from this perspective. You look at it from this perspective. You take this evidence with this evidence instead of two separate things. It tells a different story, doesn't it? He's like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. Well, I did. You have a certain perspective on the event. And I don't even know if there's certainly bad officers. There absolutely is bad officers. I could rattle off a bunch of names just as my experience. But there's good officers. There's good officers who just don't appropriately judge a situation. They're trying to do the right thing.
Right.
And that leaves the people a bad taste in their mouth, which is why it's imperative for you to exercise your rights. Those rights are there to protect you from the police. And I give you an example, right? I'll tell you an experience that I've had quite often. Well, maybe not quite often, but so you get pulled over from the police, right? License, register. What's the first thing every officer ever asks you? You know why I pulled you over? Well, I was speeding. Well, there goes any defense you have to get a ticket.
Done.
Right? And I mean, it's dumb. Like, oh, yeah, I know my brake light's busted. Oh, okay. And I go, it was a funny experience, and Michael laugh at this because it was the case that we have, that mid-August case. So we leave that preliminary hearing in Columbia County, and I'm in a hurry. So I'm driving quickly down the road. All of a sudden, the red and blues come on behind me. I'm like, oh.
And he's like, oh, now I'm gonna need Mike G. I shouldn't have made fun of him so
Mike
bad.
G. So I pull over. The guy pulls up to me, rolls down the window, like, oh my, do you know why I stopped you? I'm like, come on, man. Didn't we just talk about this? You know I'm not going to answer that question. You know I'm not going to answer that question. He's like, just slow down. I'm like, I think I was driving just fine. just fine. But I mean, the simplest thing is that. And then I go, and it's even when I became a lawyer, I think I've had that practice that I've been stopped for, I've got a lead foot and speeding. I will never, ever tell the officer, do you know why I pulled you over? No, officer, I have no idea. You sure? No, I'm serious. Why don't you tell me? And it's just, I try to practice what I preach, and I just don't know where the situation is going to go. And even for me, knowing the situation, I think is important. So it's not that I'm saying I wasn't speeding. I'm just not admitting I was, because if I want to challenge it in court, I don't want you to say, well, he knew it. He said it the first thing out of his mouth. Like,
Right. No statements, thank you.
I have a question. I have a question on the whole speeding ticket front. So a person is driving quickly.
And it's like, hypothetically speaking.
Yeah. So a person is driving quickly. Red and blue comes on. Oh, do you know why I pulled you over? Knowing full well this hypothetical person does not have a taillight up. Oh, I got a taillight out? What is that a valid thing to say?
Yeah.
Knowing full well that you don't?
I mean, I think my taillight's out.
Or do I have a taillight out?
Yeah, pose it as a question. Is that a
answer questions with a question, right?
Well, yeah, it's more of a playing dumb kind of thing. You know, is that
then he can pull that walking tall thing where he goes back there and smashes him with the nightstick, and he's like, "Yep."
Actually, all your lights are out.
Are you sure it's broken? Smash. It's broken. Look at that.
Look, your headlights are smashed in. What happened, young man?
Go to AutoZone on your way home. What are you doing?
Right.
It's dangerous.
Right.
I don't know, officer. Why did you pull me over? Is a wheel missing? I felt kind of lopsided today.
That's an interesting way to approach it. When he pulls you out of the car, I would not be surprised about that. That would be my own free personal advice.
That's funny.
If any of this is legal advice, it'll be followed by a bill, right? So it's not legal
That's
advice.
right. It's not legal advice. If it were, we would send you a bill when we were finished. Right, Rich?
Say that. Yeah, I do say that. When
you'd send Mike G
Actually, if it were, we'd be asking for a fee ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's true.
The flat fee, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And Russ would be asking Mike G to cover it.
Is this
Mike's
one
a
on
big
Mike G?
pro bono guy. Yeah, Mike's a big pro bono guy. I'm like, what you talking about? No.
I'm all maxed out on that, unfortunately.
All maxed out on the pro bono work?
You know, we've been very generous over the years.
Oh, absolutely. I encourage that. I do. I absolutely think I've had clients. I have one currently. I think he's pretty close to homeless, and I don't know. I had him represent him for a trespassing charge at like a parking garage in the city of Bethlehem. And I tried to work it out, and the parking authority was being ridiculous. And you could just tell where this guy was. And I go back to the office, like, we're not charging that guy any more money. It's fine. He's like, so I sent him we're doing that pro bono. I'm not jamming that guy up. I mean, that's just, I told the client, like, you're not even going to worry about it. I'll take care of it. Because one, I felt, I try to give as much time as I can. And obviously, people only have a limited amount of time, and I try to give as many people as I can access. So if I have the ability to help somebody, which I don't always have, before I get 100,000 people calling my office tomorrow,
right? That's it.
I don't always have that, but I try. And Mike's the same way. I'm big at giving back, and I think it's part of the way that Mike and I grew up. I did not grow up in an upper middle class family. It was a low working class family. My mother worked. My father killed himself. Grew up in a city. So now that I'm at a point in my life where I'm more successful than I was, I try to do everything I can to help those who are in similar situations to I was, because I just find that that's what you do. I was lucky enough to work my way. I got some breaks that went my way. I think Mike certainly the same way. We landed in a good spot, got good careers, a lot of hard work, a lot of luck. I don't lie about that. But I feel that it's my job to give back where I can and help people who I can.
Yeah. Very thankful, but it wasn't easy, right? I think that's the best way to describe it, right?
It's definitely not easy, but I don't act like I did it all by myself. Every one of who's in this position certainly had helped me to point out. My wife, I'm positive, isn't listening, but it was her who gave me the Swift, and she's the one who sacrificed so I could do all the things I wanted to do to be where I am now. But don't tell her I said that. Not that this is live.
Such a sweet guy.
There we go.
And it's very, very, very nice of you, Rich. Now, I was going to let you go 24 minutes ago. I understand it's well past.
Well, when it's no longer the wife because I get divorced because I'm talking to you. And
right.
Then I'll be all right.
Well, you like spending time with Mike G, don't you? Well,
I like spending time.
How do you like his bedroom?
Mike G and Rich seem to be in the same place. I wonder why that is. Well, let me tell you this. We are kind of, is Mike echoing in your microphone? Yeah, he is.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Rich, we appreciate you joining us. Good telling war stories with you, as always. Hope to have you back on the program again soon. This is becoming a regular thing, so.
I know you guys have me on every week. I don't mind it. It's good.
At what point is Rich a co-host, though?
Oh, for you. We do that, his head will explode.
My head will explode?
He'll fly away. Yes, he'll fly away. Well, thank you so much, Rich. We appreciate it. Tell little Richard ice cream's on the boss.
All right,
All right. Take
I'm
care.
going to let it go. I'm not even going to come back with that. Hey, have a great time. I'll see you guys soon.
All
See you
right.
later.
For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. Do we have a video over here from CB that we need to watch?
Yeah.
I see it popping up on the screen.
I think it combines your face with the original actor, and there's one more after this. He actually sent 3, but we'll save another
great.
one.
Yeah, let's check them out. We
Right.
could always post them afterwards because we don't know who's going to be watching the episode.
Yeah,
itself.
I sent Russ 2 because Russ pumped the brakes. He said, "How many are you sending?" He just didn't want a million files, you know, Russ. But
Yeah.
All right, let's see it.
Well, that and every time you uploaded them, Mike went all choppy with his video.
Oh, is that what's going on?
Yeah. Let's see. There's no sound. Why is there no sound? There's no sound.
Was there sound?
I don't think there's sound. Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, that does
Oh
look
yeah,
like
there's
Mike.
sound. On mine, there's
sound.
sound.
Okay.
Click on that little speaker thing.
Yeah, that doesn't do anything. It's grayed out.
Oh, it doesn't.
Huh. I don't know. I just sent it as is in the file.
Hang on.
We need like
Okay.
a file share somehow. Hold on. Let me see. Google Doc.
Put it in Google
CBC.
Drive.
Oh. CB said you guys are awesome for blessing those who can't afford your service. And then CB said, "Oh, come on, Russ."
Come on, man.
Oh, come on, man.
Wait, is it playing?
Hang on.
Hey, is
Oh,
this-
here we go. I got it.
Here we go.
Okay.
Hang on.
Careful with that screen share, Russ.
Well,
Just
yeah,
get the shirt
that's
hang
why I
on
turned it
already.
off on the stream.
Hey, where'd
Oh,
Billy
God.
Chris go?
I don't
Did we
know.
lose
Still
Billy
here.
Chris?
He's off in his
Hello.
own world. Why do you keep
He
turning your video off? You
disappeared
drive
like
me
a
nuts.
ghost.
He turned into a tree. Oh,
Coming
we
and
got
We ready?
So we've got a couple of comments over here. First of all, Tim Wardak. Tim Wardak, give him a shout out. This is gonna become a regular thing. Give him a
Tim
shout out.
Wardak.
Hey now.
Hey now, Tim
Hey
Wardak.
now. Tim Wardak.
Tim Wardak.
And then Andrew says, "How do I get my copy of Armed and Stupid signed?" Did I let you guys know about this? I don't know if it.
Yeah, you
No, I
sent
don't
it.
think
You
so.
sent it in the group
Post-
text.
Yeah, well, I had ultimately posted the cartoon that CB made of me with the book Pennsylvania Gun Law, Armed and
Oh
Educated.
yeah, that was good.
And some anti-gun, very intelligent person posted something along the lines of, "It should be called Armed and Stupid." There, I fixed it.
Hey, you know what?
Oh,
First grade
wow.
me would be so impressed.
Well, that's pretty good.
Like it's a slow clap.
Yeah.
You must have been up all night thinking of that one.
Yeah.
So creative
And we
there.
monitor, we as the station, we monitor Mike's social media a lot, and it was on LinkedIn, and I said, what a strange place to write that. I mean, LinkedIn of all places.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
What was the
nobody's
guy's
hiring.
career? He was like a store manager or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Rocky.
So
Probably
anyway,
in
we'll
charge of the
play
mustard
Mike
store.
in the Matrix now to
I
segue
want
into
to see this.
I think
All
that
right.
person was a professional mustard eating knucklehead, if I'm not
Yeah. In fact, that's what it said on their profile.
professional mustard
I was
eater.
gonna say, who
Yeah,
would
it
hire
was-
them,
it
but
was
I guess
Colonel
some
Winner
other
Mustard.
of the
gun
Coney
nuts are-
Island mustard eating
I mean-
contest 10
Right,
years in a row.
anti-gun nut.
Yes. All right, here we go. Unless it's a potato gun. Here we go.
I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Nice.
Is that the Matrix? And
That's the Matrix,
that's
And
great.
your face
Starring
mixed,
Mike
I
G.
There we
think.
go.
The
That's
second
great.
one looks a little bit
Mike
even
G.
more like you.
Starring Mike G.
Yeah, this one looks more like you even.
They're great
actually.
movies. I like those movies. I think
We've
there's another
entered
one coming
Matrix
out, isn't
with
there?
Billy Chris.
Fourth one or something?
Is there?
I believe so.
Russ, I just saw it there before.
Yeah, that was the preview for the next one. I'm going to be
Yeah.
in it.
There we
Russ,
go. There we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
and make sure you. CB says you're fired.
Ross is fired.
Oh, CB said, "LOL, such a snowflake."
Hmm.
He
Oh,
was
for-
a wedding planner.
He's a wedding planner.
What we got here?
Weddings
No,
he
this one
planned
should
had
have-
fountains of mustard.
Should have a
Right. There you go.
down too.
Come on, Russ.
Oh, hush.
Hit it, Russ.
That one looks more like you.
It's Mike G.
All right. Hang on. I got to turn the screen share back on. I had to turn it off because, protecting
doing-
identities and
You're
stuff.
doing technical things, are you?
Yeah, shut
He's
up.
doing technical things.
That one was really close, right?
He's like
Pretty
Chuck
cool.
Norris. He doesn't have any other facial expressions.
There's
Right.
one more too. Let me see.
That is really close. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
close.
that one
right
was the
Yeah, that
most
was
close.
pretty
That's
good.
why I sent
there.
it.
That one's pretty close.
You got to
like
learn
that.
about this.
I can't
editing
tell you how many
software
times I've been called John Wick. Yeah,
here.
that's
Very
pretty
good
good.
movies,
It
yeah.
could be worse, right?
No, it could be worse. Definitely be worse, brother.
That was pretty good.
Mm.
Appreciate CB coming up with that one.
CB. Shout out to CB.
Shout out to
Shout out to CB.
Hey now.
Hey now, CB.
Russ, did you say you got one more coming? We're waiting on that, or
Yeah.
It's similar to the first one, but I think honestly, out of all three, I think that one looked the most
that
like
one's
you.
best?
Yeah.
All right, let's,
Yeah.
let's stick
That
with
one was
We
the
can both-
most convincing.
All right.
Yeah, that one was the most convincing.
That's pretty good. I love it. Love it. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So what else have we got on the agenda? We've burned through the
Yeah.
first 2.5 hours of this program.
Yeah, we might have
Thank
had
you
too
to our
much.
loyal listeners participating in the comments section.
Yeah.
Free and open exchange of thoughts and ideas.
They keep it.
While
fun.
we're still allowed to.
Mm.
All right.
For now, anyway.
I had another Liberty's social media pick of the week was I guess the video of Tucker Carlson. Has anybody seen that? I guess
No.
like somebody
Yeah.
confronted him. I guess his daughter was with him too.
Oh, I
and they
saw
just,
that in the store, in the fishing store.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
in
that
like
was
the
pretty
fishing
messed up,
store,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
and they
right.
confronted him, and I just thought it was funny because it wasn't funny, but it was ridiculous. The guy was just
Right.
like, "You are the worst piece of human on the earth," or something,
Mm-hmm.
and but I saw on
Thank
Twitter
you.
the fights going back and forth. This one particular Twitter comment feed I copied and pasted because it's just so funny how like stand your ground laws and different things like this misinformation just spreads, because
Oh,
just
yeah.
like Twitter
Sure.
warriors are on there saying all this stuff in defense. So they watch the video. It is there if you guys are interested. If not,
Yeah,
it's, you know,
check
it's
it out.
kind of a story from last week, but I guess Tucker put his hand on him, and
I
like
did notice that. Yeah.
kind of, yeah, he like pushed him away, kind of. But somebody was
Sure.
saying that the other guy put his hand on him too. So
Well,
I don't know.
let's see this video. I have not seen it.
Yeah. So then, and then underneath Russ, I do have all the Twitter comments. This little fight or argument that was going back and forth. I'll highlight in yellow as usual. Putting Russ to work.
Yeah. Did you add more stuff?
More stuff to the doc.
It's in yellow. It's a
You should
YouTube
make
video.
the deadline 7 p.m. How am I supposed to keep up a PowerPoint? You can't edit a PowerPoint while you're doing a PowerPoint. It doesn't work when you only have one screen.
What are you talking about, Russ? This is all in here already. I put this in like 2 days ago.
No, you didn't.
Yes,
Russ, I
yes,
checked
I
the
did.
doc earlier and it was empty.
Hey, Russ, don't make me Twitter fight with you. Russ, I know. I know I put it in.
Cut off.
Is this it?
I believe that is, right? Hold on. Time out.
Not that long.
Time out. So
All
put
right.
it back to the beginning. So you were complaining about something not being there that was there the entire time. Is that what I'm hearing?
It was not there.
It was there. I
So
didn't
where
highlight
did it
it.
I'm
come
gonna
from?
start taking video of when I check the doc.
Did Joe Biden make it fall down from heaven like he did with the vaccine? Is that what's going
No,
on
like
here?
he did down the stairs. It fell
There's
down.
no way I could, guys. I sat
Well, this
there
might
for
be the
15
best part of the
minutes,
show
copy
right
and
now.
pasting. I sat there for 15 minutes, copy and pasting these Twitter fights with their little names. This was done 2 days ago.
Yeah, so how did you get it out of nowhere, Russ? You're saying it just magically appeared? You clicked
I
on it?
pulled
and
it out of
showed
my
up?
armpits. How's that?
Okay, well.
Russ, you're not going to win this one.
Well, next time, before you start whining and complaining, look in your armpits first.
Okay,
in
but
there
they're
somewhere.
kind of stinky.
Well, you know, there's that.
I understand. That's why you're looking and nobody else.
Mike, I can't reach. Come over here.
Yeah, I'll pay somebody to do that one. I'll sub that one out.
Right.
It's not that long of a
I don't
video,
think
but
you
it just
could
became a
pay
trending
somebody.
thing.
Ooh, okay. My video card is like glitching out here. We
We
gotta
have
hurry
a
this
listener
up.
wants to know when we're gonna broadcast live from Houston. I think we'd have to find.
We would have to
maybe it
fly
could
to
be
Houston.
Some kind of event with U.S. Law Shield or some kind of an event. There was a cigar lounge that was talking to somebody, perhaps broadcasting out that way.
That'd be nice.
And I don't know if they had some kind of connection to Nick Perdomo. Just talking about that because Nick Perdomo, we should really have him on the program.
That would be great.
He's a self-made businessman, makes great cigars, and really, really nice guy. Great guy to be around, and he's a supporter of our Second Amendment. So it would be very cool to do an event with him. I believe they did an event in New Hampshire a few years ago where Perdomo Cigars teamed up with Sig Sauer, and they called the event Perdomo's Pistols and Pizza. And they had a range day, and then they went back to have cigars, and everybody ate pizza. And Sig sponsored us. They brought some stuff out. Really sounded like a good time, to be honest with you. We should do something like that. Perhaps Houston will be the place. So if you're out in Houston and you're listening to this program, let us know. Maybe we could get enough momentum to get something like that going out that way. And that would certainly be a lot of fun.
And be sure to
Run,
donate
Perdomo's
money.
Pistols and Pizza. What's that?
Be sure to donate money to pay for my plane ticket.
Well, I think for an event like that, we'd certainly have to sell tickets. We'd have no choice. If you're going to put on a massive event like that, you're going to have to sell tickets. It's going to have to be exclusive. We're going to have to cut it off at a certain number because there's just simply not unlimited room when you're dealing with shooting ranges and
Right.
cigar lounges.
I use promo code
And you
Zucchini.
can only get so much pizza, right?
Come smoke a
Oh no,
cigar with
pizza's
Russ.
endless.
Russ likes Stromboli.
Endless
So.
pizza.
I want to smoke some cigars with Russ too. We gotta do that.
You'd be the only one smoking cigars. I don't smoke.
Come on, man.
Sorry,
Not
pal.
yet, at least, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine Russ in Houston in a cigar shop? I just can't.
You know what? I'll put the cigar in my mouth, but I won't light it. How's that? I'll pretend.
That's fine.
I'll be that big fat executive guy from Looney Tunes.
There we go.
Great.
That's okay.
Yeah. We
should
gotta
talk
play
more
this
about
video or
cigars
just
on the
chat?
air.
We should,
You-
yeah.
You want to keep Mike G on the air longer? We'll talk cigars.
That's right. That's right. Good stuff.
What cigar would
All
Russ
right,
like?
well-
Did you get
What's
that
that?
video there, Russ?
None
or-
of them.
What cigar would Russ like?
The most expensive
cigar?
one because I don't even plan to light it.
Probably like a
No.
lavender flavored one or something.
How
No,
about-
he probably
Wait,
like,
are there
you know,
any mustard flavored ones?
like
Mustard.
Dorito or Dorito flavored?
There we go. Yeah, Mountain Dew.
Well,
Maybe we
are
could.
you familiar with acids, Philly Chris?
Yeah. I've had a few of those. Yeah.
What's? Do you know what those are, Russ?
They're actually pretty good. I like some.
No,
of them,
I'm just laughing.
Well,
to seem smarter.
it's a less expensive cigar. You know, the flavored cigars, the acids. I believe they're made by Drew Estates, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I can say that I've legitimately tried an acid.
Uh-huh.
But do you know what an Opus X is?
I'm
you're
not a
talking to Russ,
cigar
right?
connoisseur.
No, I'm talking to Philly Chris.
Oh yeah. I know what those
Familiar with
are.
Opus X?
Yeah, yep.
Very rare cigars.
Mhm.
They only put them out a couple times a year, limited quantities. If you go to a place and you want to buy an Opus X, a lot of times it'll say only one per customer because they just can't get so many of them. And they're fairly expensive. They can be $20, $30 a piece. And I remember went to a cigar shop after a gun show one time, and I brought a gentleman with me who was not extremely experienced with cigars. And the owner at this store, great guy, I believe he's known by some people, they call him the Tony Soprano of Harrisburg, the way they refer to him. It's just an attitude guy, you know, he's the boss. You come over, you kiss the ring. And he's busy doing something, and you want to be respectful and not bother him. And he's over there doing his thing. And I said, hey, good to see you. I'll take care of this guy. I'll show him around. So I go with this inexperienced gentleman I was working with. We're looking around the cigars. And he says out loud, do they have Opus X here? And the owner looks up and peeks up and he says, well, that depends on who's asking. Yeah, kind of like there might be some in the back.
Right.
And the guy goes, well, I'm with Mike and I'm asking. And he said, come with me real quick. So he takes him on over. And as he's walking over, he goes, okay, but before we go, what can you tell me about these acids? And the owner just clutched his chest and said, he's killing me, Mike. He's killing me.
That's great.
It's like some expensive wine. Somebody's going to take you to give you some expensive wine. You say, oh, before we do, let me try this Boone's Farm, right?
Right. Oh, that's funny.
Before we go look at the Ferraris, where are the Kias?
Yeah, right. You have any used Yugos?
Looking to buy a Geo.
I should be talking about the Kias because they're you know, there's some pretty sweet models that have come out lately, right?
Yeah, they're nice now, actually. Yeah.
I guess years ago they kind of fell into that category.
It's like Hyundai.
Like
Hyundai's
the
real nice
wind-up
now, too,
cars.
like the Genesis
Right.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the Genesis certainly. They put out an SUV that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Looking at least. I mean,
Their
I'm not.
warranties are better. Yeah.
I don't know a ton about cars, obviously, but they certainly look pretty.
Well, Nissans
Oh, yeah.
suck. I can tell you that from experience.
Nissan?
They're
Yep.
pretty good. They're pretty good.
Well, what do you
Well,
mean they're
know,
pretty
the newer
good?
ones. The new ones are pretty good.
No, the ones that have an actual automatic transmission, those are probably
Uh-huh.
good. The one like what I have, which has a continuously variable transmission, is
Oh.
set to fail after every 60,000 miles.
Well, you have a Nissan?
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I have a pile of
Sounds like a
crap
snowmobile.
that is labeled a
Snowmobiles have
Nissan.
that, I think.
What's your favorite car? Put it in the comments. Live stream, put it in the comments. What
Yeah,
is
there
your
we go.
favorite? What's your favorite automobile?
To drive or
Because,
to look
you
at?
know, they're all going to be outlawed at some point, right? We're gonna
Yeah.
have to
That's right.
get away from the gasoline. Andrew says Kias are superior automobiles. I think that's from the Kenny Powers show when Will Ferrell is the BMW salesman and he loses business and he has to go sell Kias. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Good reference.
Kias are superior automobiles. Let us know in the comments what is your favorite vehicle. Russ, why don't you go ahead and play this clip? We can have this discussion while people get their answers in.
I was thinking about the favorite vehicle. Do you mean to drive or to look at? Because there's a lot of vehicles I like to look at, but I would never get behind a wheel of them.
Like what?
Like the McLaren, was it the F1 LM?
And you would not get behind the wheel, why?
Because I don't want to drive something that expensive.
What if there was no risk or anything attached
If there
to
was
it?
no
You could just
risk,
go
then yeah.
Okay.
What if you had insurance?
Right.
Depends. Do I have to pay for it? If it's for free, then count me in. I don't care. I'll drift it all day.
There you go.
Free. How many times did Russ say free on the show today?
Right, I know, right?
Looking for some free stuff, everybody.
Andrew says 1994 Thunderbird. I'm partial to the 97 myself.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
partial to the 97. That's a good car though.
My other answer would be any muscle car because they're going to be outlawed soon.
Yeah,
right.
Well, they better not.
Drive them while you can.
Yeah.
Smoke them if you got them.
Silly things coming, right?
What about the Oscar Mayer Wiener mobile? What do you think of that?
Only if it's got mustard.
I can see Russ driving that around.
Only it comes with free mustard.
And the mustard mobile. CB says, "Don't worry, Mike. Don't worry, Mike would pay for it, Russ."
Yeah, with his big fat lawyer dollars.
Sounds about right.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny.
What about you, Mike?
My
Lambo?
favorite. That
You like Lambos?
I would enjoy a 97 Ford Thunderbird that had clear tape over the headlights and didn't have working windshield wipers. That's what I would choose.
There we go. That's perfect.
Is this a vehicle you're familiar with?
sounds like some memories are coming back.
You could say that, right? Preferably one where you had to pour water into the radiator and keep a gallon jug of water everywhere.
I've been in that position before.
I bet. So if anybody's selling one of those,
yeah,
you might want to give me a shout.
Look on Craigslist.
Does it have
right
to be
now.
running?
Yeah.
When it feels like. Certainly when it feels like.
So anything with a finicky ignition, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
All right. Let's roll the video, huh?
All right, let's check it out.
Don't even get my. I don't care, man. You are the worst human being known to mankind. I want you to know that what you have done to this state, to the United States, to everything else in this world. I don't care that your daughter's here. What you've done to people's families, what you have done to everybody else in this system. Son, don't call me son. One. I don't care, man. You are the worst human being known to mankind. I want you to know that what you have done to this state, to the United States, to everything else in this world. I don't care that your daughter's here. What you've done to people's families, what you have done.
I like how he
to
looked at the
everybody
camera and
else in
started
this
chuckling.
Why are we watching footage of the Howdy Doody look-alike competition?
It's a good
That's pretty
question.
much what it is, yeah.
Who's responsible for this in the dock?
Yeah, maybe the other guy did touch him first. I don't know if I caught that the last time.
Well, they started with their hand on
Let's
each
watch
other's
it again.
chest.
It's only a few seconds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, watch it again because
Watch
that
it.
video shows it. That clip that you have, it shows it twice.
Instant replay.
Instant
Right
replay.
there. Right
They're
there.
both touching each other at the same time.
Yeah. So he removed his hand, and he removed his hand. I wonder. Well,
If anybody complains about that, they're both touching each other at the same time.
right? Well, that's just where
There's some
the
mutual touching going on. Yeah.
yeah.
They're just feeling each other's shirt. They're impressed by the quality
Yeah.
of
Let me
one
feel your
another's howdy
flannel.
doody
Your
costume.
flannel.
So
And it's
that's
saying, what does your howdy doody costume feel like? Oh, that's soft. Let me see yours.
wow. What's
This
that
is some nice
stitching?
flannel.
That's really nice plaid.
That's amazing. Where can I get one of these?
What kind of car do you drive?
So look, this is before.
You drive a Kia too.
Okay,
Get out of
so
town.
Carlson
I think
actually-
they touch each other at the same exact time.
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
Getting pretty touchy feely.
They're like, all right, on the count of 3. 1, 2.
So
touch my chest.
Yeah,
I think so. They both touched
Let's
each other's
touch each
chest. I
other's
think
chest on the count of
Carlson's
3.
hand landed first.
We should re-narrate this. Be like, hey, buddy, you want to go fishing?
We
They
should
narrate
like a
those
bad
Biden
lip
versus
read.
Trump things, like that the voiceover where they narrate the Trump
Right. Yeah, exactly.
debate. We need something like that.
Tucker's right now like, hey, you got a nice hat there. Let me touch your shirt a little. You want to go fishing?
Hey, you want to go fishing? I know
What
this
kind of flies
great
do you use?
boat.
Yeah, CB says, is that snowflake pregnant? Tucker should have uppercut that pool.
I want you to.
And he says, it looked like a romantic scene from Dirty Dancing.
There we go.
I like that.
That's
I
good.
know this great
Wait,
fishing boat.
what's the
This
song
great-
from
Oh
Dirty
man, that's a
Dancing?
great joke you told.
I've had the
Dude,
time of my
dude,
life.
and the
The time
punchline,
of-
the
yeah.
punchline gets
We
even
should have-
better.
That's what I was
Hey,
saying.
hey,
Like
wait,
that
where you
song.
going? Where you
Time
going?
of our
I'm picking out some bait.
lives.
Yeah. They both
And we're
touch each other on
gonna
the
go
chest.
fishing.
Chris is gonna get us pegged for a copyright.
Oh, I'm changing the words.
Oh.
It's a parody.
Oh, they don't
Parody.
care. They don't care. They're like, no, it sounds the same.
well,
Shut up, you're
They're
guilty.
gonna do that to
Howdy
us anyway.
doody.
Yeah, they're gonna do that to us anyway.
Yankovic.
You guys have to see that video though of Biden jumbling and jambling there in that last video we didn't finish. If there's still
What's
time,
that
you
guy's? What's the
see
guy's problem though? Do you understand? He just doesn't like him.
I listened to it the other night a little bit, and he said he's like the worst human being, and he's talking about him being on Fox and disseminating lies and stuff like that. And Tucker says something about his daughter being there, and the guy's like, "I don't care that your daughter's here." So they're just kind of arguing about
What's with this header?
different belief
Who did
systems.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Twitter just ensued. It was like, these things are always trending. I guess they make big things of like little things. But I mean, if you were confronted in a store like that, it does kind of get you a little riled up. But he said, so Tucker put his hand on him. If the guy carried a gun and pulled it out for attacking his personal space, is that legal? And then
that
some
might be
guy,
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, but then some guy said it's Montana, so I imagine their laws regarding self-defense and castle doctrine are pretty relaxed.
What a
And-
mustard
Well, you're in a
eating
store.
knucklehead.
Okay,
You're
and
in
then
a store. It doesn't Castle
You
Doctrine
have-
doesn't
you-
apply. I'm not.
and
a
then
attorney,
hold on,
right,
no,
Mike?
but these are
If
these are Twitter lawyers. Okay.
So, no, we've got the idiot convention commenting on the Howdy Doody convention.
Okay,
So go ahead.
and then it said only if it's a stand your ground state for real. If Montana is a stand your ground state, then that dude could have shot Tucker dead for that hand and not spend a night in jail because it's on video.
Oh,
And
gosh.
then somebody said that's incorrect. Just because Montana has a stand your ground law doesn't mean you can shoot someone just for touching you. And then he said,
Why would you even engage with a person that stupid? If somebody is that unintelligent to make a comment
Well,
like
obviously
that,
they're armed
then
and
they are
stupid.
not worth having a conversation with.
Yeah. And then he finished off by saying self-defense requires a sense of danger, a single hand pushing gently
well, first
against
of all, that's wrong too. It's
I
not
know,
a
but
sense
then he
danger.
said,
Hold on a minute.
but I like what he said.
Hold on
He
a
said
second.
a single
the
hand.
sixth
You're
sense?
rubbing my
gently-
shirt a little too hard. I feel a little
all right.
danger.
You're damaging the polyester.
Please don't touch my shirt
a
so
single hand
dangerously.
pushing gently
You're
against you
ruining
doesn't
the
endanger
fibers. Now I gotta have it dry cleaned.
I
Oh
I
my
find
God.
it so funny. I mean, this is why I go on social media, just to like see what's going on, and like just the things just spread out there are just
Sure.
ridiculous. But they only flag if it's regarding COVID and if you're a
I
Republican.
think that's confirmation, though, that if
Yeah.
you read this stuff on social media, you become less intelligent, right?
For me, it's confirmation that they only stop misinformation if it's regarding COVID and if you're
Right.
a Republican.
Right, because if you're
Anything
a
else
true
goes.
fact checker, if you're a true fact checker, you'd be throwing flags all over that especially because it's important, because some idiot like that,
Yeah.
some mustard-eating knucklehead goes out there and puts up something that's so stupid like that. If somebody were to actually believe that and
Yeah.
behave in that manner
Right.
and go along with that, then not only would you have somebody who's hurt or killed when they don't need to be, but also you have somebody ends up going to jail for following that false information, right?
Right.
I'm not a lawyer, but I impersonate
Tell
one
the
on
judge,
Twitter.
I read it on Twitter, and
I read it on Twitter.
Yeah,
And the judge is gonna say,
that
"You
sounds like a
can't
great
possibly be
legal
that
defense.
stupid."
Right. We're
That's
all
a
dumber
great
now
legal
for hearing
defense. Oh, but I read it on Twitter, so it must be true.
I forget who it was. I'll have to find out
Pass
to
the
give
mustard.
credit. But there's a buddy of mine, an attorney, Mike McCormick out of Pittsburgh. He's like the godfather of gun law. He's been doing this for decades upon decades. And true mentor of mine. He said one of his friends always said there are two kinds of crimes. There's misdemeanor stupid and felony stupid. Anyway, Russ, why don't we hit this? Speaking
Yeah.
of stupid, no.
Perfect transition. Yeah.
This Biden video.
Yeah. However,
However, right? Rich is gonna
Right.
throw something at you.
That was great. That was funny.
All right, so here we go.
Alrighty.
Let me turn up the thing here. You know the
Yeah,
thing.
see if you guys can make sense out of any of this. But I'm thinking he possibly confirmed that there's aliens. I don't know if he did or not, or what he really said. But
I don't think Joe knows what he really said.
yeah, I don't know.
Aliens, listen to this embarrassing diatribe.
You got the vaccination?
Yeah.
Are you okay? I mean, you seem no, it works. Or or the mom and dad, or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when you're no, I really mean it. There are trusted interlocutors. Think of the people. If your kid wanted to find out whether or not there's a man on the moon or whatever, something, or whether those aliens are here or not. Who are the people they talk to beyond the kids who love talking about it?
What? Man on the moon. Something.
Wait, can you rewind
What the hell has this got to do about anything? This is a town hall meeting. The bloke's unchallenged in his rambling. Listen to this. He actually tries to explain what the question is.
No, play that
make-
again, Russ. Play that
Yeah,
again.
play that
Please,
again.
please play that.
Oh,
I
you're
can't
a glutton
believe
for punishment.
This is
what
the,
I just saw and heard.
This is the world we're living in now.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! I was gonna make a joke about it when you're saying that there's ET. Ask him if there's aliens. He'd be like, "Sure, we all saw it. We all saw it on the news when the kid made friends with them and he wanted to phone home. We watched it on the news. Don't you remember?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You remember E.T.?
That's what I thought. This is an entirely different. You ever see what's that
Have you guys
movie?
seen this before? Had you seen this?
No.
I did.
Yeah, okay.
You couldn't tell by my
unsubscribed
face
to
watching
Sky
that.
No,
my
I
reaction
didn't. I
that
was
I'd
pretty
never
sure you
seen.
hadn't. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! You ever watch that movie where they're making fun of the Johnny Cash movie? I forget what it's called. Walk Hard, I think it is.
Yeah.
Where he talks to Elvis, and Elvis is making no sense, and Elvis walks away, and he just
Right.
goes, "What the heck was that guy
Right.
talking about?" That's
Right.
I feel like that a lot
Right.
lately.
And it's not really funny. I mean, I feel bad laughing in a way because everything about it is tragic.
Show it again, Russ. Show it again.
All
Yeah.
right. Let me actually show it this time to the audience.
I saw
I had it on.
And
the
then there's
thing.
a
Don't
there's a
worry.
good
I think
piece
you hear
after
it.
there too if you want to let it play out after.
I'd rather just let it play through the whole video.
I might ask
Yeah.
you to pause it if I can't believe what I'm hearing again.
No, go
the
ahead.
second
Go
time.
ahead. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Glutton for punishment, take 2.
That's not what the president has said. Listen to this.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID
think
if
I
you
might have
have
backed up too
these
far.
vaccinations.
Yeah.
That's not true. But the bloke's unchallenged. And then this our incoherent rambling about men on the moon and aliens. Listen to this embarrassing diatribe.
You got the vaccination?
Yeah.
Are you okay? I mean, you seem no, it works. Or or the mom and dad, or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when you're no, I really mean it. There are trusted interlocutors. Think of the people. If your kid wanted to find out whether or not there's a man on the moon or whatever, something, or whether those aliens are here
Hold
or
on,
not.
a man on the moon or something?
Yeah, right, or something, something.
What falls into that or something category?
This guy has the nuclear
Rocks,
codes, by
cheese.
the way.
I doubt this
I mean-
guy has the nuclear codes. If he did,
No,
he
he's
forgot
supposed to.
them.
President.
Yeah, he's supposed to.
He
Well,
forgot
Russ
them.
makes a good point, though, right?
Probably.
This
does.
guy
Yeah.
doesn't know what he had for breakfast. Okay.
Well, we
Well.
know that. We know that now. Yeah. Mhm.
Play on.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Russ, play it
the
on.
CNN host, he should get an award for keeping a straight face around this guy.
Who are the people they talk to beyond the kids who love talking about it?
What? Man on the moon, something. What the hell has this got to do about anything? This is a town hall meeting. The bloke's unchallenged in his rambling. Listen to this. He actually tries to explain what the question is and then makes an appalling mess of answering his own question.
And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are. Why can't the experts say we know that this virus?
Hang on a sec. I think he either is rambling or he has somebody in his ear.
And he can't figure it out.
Right.
Or they're
And-
messing with him. It's like Bruce Almighty, where the guy gets on
Right.
the telephone and just messes with
It's an
him.
interesting
I
theory,
wish it was
Rob.
like that. That's
Actually,
funny.
That seems like he's got somebody in his ear, Russ.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That could be.
Let me
That could
back,
be.
Back that up
a bit.
again. Let's watch it.
Could be
Ready?
one of the
By
aliens,
the way, CD
maybe.
says this is pitiful to watch. 80 million votes. Right.
Yeah.
After this, I can totally be president. I just want to put it out there.
You should
Yeah.
be, actually, Liberty.
All right, you ready? Pay attention. Because I'm focused on Joe's ears. Okay,
Okay,
that's
all
where
right.
I'm looking. I'm trying
Liberty
to see
just
Watch your
announced-
ears. Watch out for his ears.
I think Liberty
Watch
just
his
announced
ears.
she's running for president, by the way, too.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Nobody's even seen her face, so good luck with that.
Russ has my vote, right, Russ?
Joe stayed in the
Russ, you're making
basement,
everyone
so.
vote. Got it. Just making
Own
sure.
question.
Here we go.
And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are. Why can't the experts say we know that this virus is in fact it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved but permanently approved. Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake. This virus is, in fact...
What do you think, Russ? Let's see it again. Let's see it one more time.
Oh no.
Look at when he looks down. It almost looks like he's trying to hear something.
That's the impression that I was getting. That's the impression
I've
that I was
noticed
getting.
that I do that on the air sometimes. And maybe
Mhm.
other people notice this, but when I'm trying to listen, I turn my head that way, and there'll be somebody talking to me, and it might be a habit because if you've got bad
I
hearing,
could
and you're trying to
tell.
hear somebody, you're turning your ear towards them.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like if I'm having a face-to-face conversation, I'll tell people, I'm not disrespecting you by not looking you in the eye. I'm trying to hear you. Lots of years of.
Well.
It's almost sad to make fun of it.
It's
you
sad.
know?
I don't really want to make fun of people.
It seems
but
almost like if he were listening to something, then
that could
there was
be.
some kind of a bad connection or something like that, and he wasn't getting it. It wasn't coming through.
I
or
think the
maybe-
bad connection's in here somewhere. It's in there. Yeah.
Really though, because those are your two options, though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is that he's mentally failing, or he's listening to something because he's mentally failing.
But you know what's crazy
Or
though is
because he's just a
Alan
puppet.
Jones points out, from Sky News from another country, it's like the world is just laughing at us. Like this is
Well,
insane. What's going on? I mean, how can he be? Imagine if that was Trump talking that way.
Oh yeah, the news media would be all over it, and
They were questioning his cognitive ability after he
He's
took that test.
unfit.
and, like,
He's
Yeah.
unfit.
oh yeah,
right,
talk
right.
about unfit to serve as
Big
president. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's a little scary at this point. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go.
Hmm.
Back to you, Alan.
And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are. Why can't the experts say we know that this virus is in fact it's going to be, or excuse me, we
like
know
he
why
can't
all the drugs
concentrate.
approved are not temporarily approved but permanently approved.
For God's sake! This.
You know
virus
what
is-
he was even said? We watched that.
I think they're
2 or
trying to
3
push
times.
for the FDA approval sooner, because then they can try to make it a requirement as well. You can't really require a non-FDA approved medicine, so I think that's where the narrative there is going.
Those really seem like random words strung together, though, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
They
I would
do-
agree
well,
with
it-
that
it
statement.
sounds
yeah.
like-
Words out of a hat.
Yeah.
Or you ever go on autocorrect and just like keep
Yeah.
selecting whatever they suggest to you over and over again.
Right,
and make a
right.
Random
Yeah,
funny
left
sentence.
blue pigeon car, tomato.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
Let's do it right now.
Oh no.
What's the first thing that Biden said? This is we gotta do
He
this.
said like, why can't we something?
Yeah, so go back and find.
Yeah.
He did. He
Gonna
did
do it
like
on
3
overtime.
things where he just
We'll do
like
it live.
Do it live, Russ.
I'll type it.
of
We'll do
answering
it
his
live.
own question.
And the question is whether or not
Okay, press pause. And
the question is whether or not.
Whether or not.
No, the question is, and then I'm just gonna keep selecting.
I'm gonna do this on my phone. See how Android fares.
It's crazy.
What are you?
It's pretty wild stuff, I mean, the fact that I don't even know what to say. It's hard to put into words.
Well,
you
you're
know?
This is the dumbest thing ever.
Now I'm having trouble.
I feel like Chris is having
You know,
trouble
it's
stringing
like
this.
All right,
contagious.
here we go. Here's what I came up with. And the question is, what you doing tomorrow morning and tomorrow morning at the mail? Thanks, buddy, from the hearing from the doctor.
Yo, listen, I said
That's
my.
Yeah.
that's
I'm
my
going to
Biden.
memorize this little monologue, though, and the next time I'm talking to somebody, I'm just going to repeat that all
And the
right out.
question is, what are you doing tomorrow morning and tomorrow morning at the mail? Thanks, buddy, from the hearing from the doctor.
I sent mine in the group chat.
At least you
It
can
says-
understand
read
that.
it, Russ.
And the question is, how do I get the money back to you on the calendar for the next buttload of tech news? And how much is the total amount of money for the year? And how much is the total amount of money for the year? And how much? Okay, it ran into a. It ran.
Everybody
Repeat
try
it
that
down
out.
there.
Type in, and the question is, and then keep hitting autocorrect over and over again. Let's find out what the best
What?
one is.
I don't
We should
even
have a
know how to do that.
contest. We should
How
have
are
a
you doing this?
I don't know how to do it.
Whoever wins this contest, I will mail them out an autographed copy of my book. Go ahead and type in.
Are you
in the
gonna
question.
cross out? Are you gonna make it armed and stupid?
Hey, Armed and You get an autographed copy of Armed and Stupid to the
There we go.
gentleman.
I'm just stupid.
So
You
you
need to
type,
revise
and
your
the
book.
question is where? Wait, explain how
Yeah.
to do this.
You type in, and the question is in a text message, right?
And then you just keep on spamming the autocorrect
And then just-
suggestions.
Oh,
I have an iPhone. I don't know if it's.
I don't know. I don't think I'm doing it right.
It is. 72 is what I got. 72. The meaning of life.
You have
I'm getting numbers. No, I'm just kidding. Trying to be funny.
I don't think I'm doing it right, but
my phone loves morning for whatever reason.
Oh yeah.
so you just mine is not stringing to letter words that make any sense.
That's the point. It's not supposed to make sense.
Right.
So I have.
All right, here we
But
go.
how much longer will this?
I got
go
another
on?
one. I got a new one, and the
All
question
right,
is.
what do you got?
And the question is, what I was doing today and yesterday morning and morning and afternoon and morning and evening and morning, doing what we were doing for the morning of our meeting today. So I am not going to be able to put the mail on it, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sounds pretty
That's a
similar
good
to his
one,
speech.
Excuse me.
So-
I'm Biden's new speechwriter.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's an
At least that
autocorrect
makes sense. You're
generating
not gonna be able to put the
teleprompter.
mail in the
I'm
store.
I got a confession to make, everybody. I'm the one who's been talking into
Is
it
that-
at these town hall meetings. I just mess
Okay.
around on autocorrect and put like you'll never believe what this guy will say out loud if I tell him in his ear.
Right.
It is like that Bruce Almighty thing.
Philly Chris, what does 72 mean?
That's the meaning of life.
72.
Uh,
Okay, I did another
it's
one.
from I think Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or something. It's a movie reference.
Oh, okay. Nobody
What?
understood it. So I did another one. I put in, and the question is whether, because, just adding another word, whether you are looking to record off-site or just a few times a week or two before you can get a new machine and landfill the older you get to the site. He is not a good fit for the next buttload of tech news, and how.
See, you have some favorite words in there too. I think buttload and tech news. Mine likes morning for some reason.
Mike G in the morning.
Mike G in the morning. MikeGinthemorning.com.
Say Mike G in the morning.
Buttloadtechnews.com. Is that available?
I don't know, but I'm not looking it up.
I'm afraid to type this in.
I'm afraid too. You're gonna get a call from your. You're gonna get a call from your internet service provider.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does too.
I think I have my autocorrect turned off.
Buttloadtechnews.com. Let's see. It says this site can't be reached.
That means that somebody had it, but it's not currently up.
That's probably what he's hearing in his ear.
We can't buy that. Can we go to what's one of the websites where you could buy a domain? Is that?
I don't know. I don't know how that stuff works.
GoDaddy?
GoDaddy?
Yeah, sure.
GoDaddy.
Let's see. Buttload Tech News. I hope that none of our listeners are gonna get this right away. I gotta buy it on the air.
TV said this.
You know what? Somebody's gonna buy it, and then they're gonna redirect it to Mike G in the morning.
Buttloadtechnews.com. $12 for the first year. Yes, please.
I must be getting older because I don't know how to do this.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, it's all good.
Should we watch the rest of this Biden?
Yeah, finish it out. Why not?
Whatever this is supposed to be.
It's a pretty good clip. I thought it was a good clip.
Okay.
We should be in a position where you are. Why can't the experts say we know that this virus is in fact it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved but permanently approved. Yeah.
What?
Oh, for God's sake. This virus is, in fact, it's going to be, excuse me, we know why all the...
It does sound like a bad transmission, like from a satellite or something, where maybe it just cuts out.
Drugs are temporarily approved, but permanently approved. I mean, listen to this again. The President of the United States at a town hall meeting, and someone doesn't say, get off the stage, you're embarrassing the free world and obscuring the coronavirus message. Listen to this.
Free world doesn't exist anymore.
We know that this virus is, in fact, it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved, but permanently approved. Yeah.
Excuse me, we know why all the drugs are temporarily approved but permanently approved. What does it mean? The only thing you got right was you reckon the dog was a Democrat. He said, I can tell. Is that because it's got droopy ears and doesn't look too bright? Listen to this.
By the way, that is Danielle Lippy. She's a student here at the university, and she's a Republican. She's got a question for you. Go ahead, Danielle.
Okay. But your dog's a Democrat, I can tell.
And then this transparent untruth. He was asked by a questioner, genuinely concerned, if you get COVID having been vaccinated, can you get COVID? This is what he said.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Yeah.
How dangerous is this? This is going on in the world. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
And that one dude had the nerve to go after Tucker Carlson for what, misinformation or something. Yeah. Oh, you're the worst person here, and Joe's spouting off this nonsense.
This bloke has to be taken out of circulation. I repeat, get the vaccination. You may still test positive, as many have, but the vaccine has a significant impact on limiting the chance of you going into hospital. This bloke, Joe Biden, belongs in a home, and that home is not the White House.
Sky News, everybody.
Yes,
Sky News. Show them some love. Go visit their
Right.
YouTube channel.
There we
Tell
go.
them Mike G sent you.
We've got a nice message from Tony. Tony says, enjoying your live stream tonight. Didn't sign up for the chat, but listening. Thanks. Well, thank you, Tony.
Well, you got to sign up for the chat.
Tony,
What are you doing?
ladies and gentlemen, Tony.
Now.
Coming
Hey
at you
now.
live here in the chat. Tony.
Good deal. This is great.
Yeah, good stuff.
I'm busy. I'm sorry if I'm not doing a great job paying attention. I'm busy trying to buy buttloadtechnnews.com.
Oh, man.
Oh no.
Oh, that's great.
That's funny.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Well, while you do that, Mike, would you like to sign off? Because
Well, that's about all the time we have this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Visit buttloadnews.com. Thank you.
Buttloadtechnnews.com.
Tech news.
Tech news. I
Another one
can
in the
totally see
can.
that being Russ. I'm just gonna put it out there. I can totally see that being Russ's blog, like where he just spills everything about how much he dislikes the overlords, Facebook. I mean, Russ.
Oh, I don't have to spell it out or even have a blog. They have it in their terms of service. Hey, Mike, you want to go for another hour?
Post, okay.
You guys want to go for another hour?
No.
I can't do it tonight,
okay.
but thank you, Russ.
I'm going to. We'll set that up. We'll set that
Oh,
up.
no. Oh,
Anything else for the good of the order? We're 15 past.
I'm
I wanna
good.
thank
Peace and
all
love,
of our
everybody.
loyal
Thanks for
listeners.
listening. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Great.
Thank you,
great-
CB,
great
again.
stuff.
Thank you,
Yeah.
CB. This episode is dedicated to CB.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode has been brought to you in part by CB.
It literally
It
has.
literally has, yes.
Literally has.
Thank
been
you,
brought to
CB.
in
No,
part
seriously.
by CB. So, CB,
Thank you.
thank you for
Awesome.
being a
Awesome.
loyal listener, and thank you for your contributions to the program. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it's great. Awesome graphics and stuff.
Okay, I've got to do I have to cut 2 outros today, Russ? You got me doing that intonation that you do. You get like this British intonation when you ask a question sometimes. Anybody notice that about Russ?
British Russ.
Did anybody ever notice that when Russ asks questions, sometimes he's got like this British inflection in his voice?
Oh, hello, Michael.
I'm not
He's
quite
like-
sure what
he's
you're
like-
talking about. What you on about, mate?
Matt says
hello.
Mike can't live forever on caffeine. That is true. It's been a lengthy
Oh,
day hearing
might
this
be able
morning.
to.
I'm very thankful that I've got a heck of a staff at my office.
Mike needs a
My law
cigar.
clerks and attorney and office manager. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
We definitely put in a lot of time and a lot of effort.
Shout
Like, you
out
ever
to
notice that
them.
about Russ? Russ
Shout out to
sometimes has like this British thing going. He's like,
I
"You not put
never
it in the
noticed.
doc."
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Put it in the
I guess
doc.
so.
Oh,
Okay.
hello. Cheerio.
Yeah,
I'll
no.
put it in the dark for you, sir.
No, I'm too busy hearing him scold me over everything.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I had a buddy from St. Louis in law school. He'd ask questions funny too. I'm trying to think of how exactly. This is like, hey, he was like, Mikey, how you doing, kid? It was not like he went up at the end. How you doing, kid?
How you doing, kid?
How you
I'm
doing?
not
kid?
sure I quite see
Mikey,
what
how
you
you doing,
mean
kid?
there.
Wait.
Did
Oi.
anybody? Oh, never
St.
mind.
Louis.
I was gonna say, did anybody ever take this speech class, like speech classes in college? They like really rip
Nah.
you apart.
Oh man.
Like you have
Like how to
gravel
give
in
a
your
speech?
voice. Huh?
How to give a speech?
No, like it's like a speech class. Yeah, they basically are no
How to
actual
talk
speech, like,
properly,
they're
pretty much,
teaching
I would guess.
Yeah, like they just like they pull out the weirdest things, like have like gravel in your voice or like just weird things,
Yeah.
Gravel
Yeah,
in
ta-
your voice.
Take a hike.
Anyway, it was just a side note.
Yeah.
Do these people actually give speeches for a living?
No, they
I
just
don't
tell
know.
other
I mean,
people
but
how to do
people
it.
have-
Or
I
they
mean,
just they
as
teach people how to
somebody-
do it?
I'd like to see them.
Those who can't do,
Like, I'll say,
teach.
I don't give speeches, but if I were gonna give a speech, here's how I think you should do it.
I'd do it like this. See?
I do it like this. Bada bing, bada boom.
Right.
What does
right.
bada bing,
A lot of
bada
the
boom mean?
professors,
It's
not to
Italian
be
for
mean, but
abracadabra.
don't really do what they're teaching, and I
Right.
find that kind of odd. You know, I like the professors who do what they're teaching, like
If
for
you
a
have
living.
Tony Robbins go out there and,
Yeah.
and teach a class on giving speeches. People pay $5,000 and $10,000 to watch this guy give a speech. Yes, I'll listen to what you have to say, sir. You're
Right.
probably doing something right.
Mhm.
That's right.
But if your sole gig is to teach 18 to 22-year-old kids how you would do it if you were going to do it, that's not all that valuable. Especially
Anyway.
thing to point out. You said that pointed out travel in your voice. Is that what you said?
It was like the word. It was like gravel. They called it. Like they have all these words.
Your
for different
professor
things.
would have hated Mike G. No.
Well, I mean, yeah, like they
I got
just
some
they
gravel
excuse
for
me,
you.
sir. You sound like you smoke too many cigars.
No, yeah, like they
I
would
got
point
some
out
gravel for you.
If you're nasal,
I'll never
they
forget
would,
this.
they
I
would-
took a course about being a critic in college, and it was all about critiquing art and movies and music, things like that.
Yeah,
And the professor put on this video, and it was supposed to be some kind of artistic video where there was spoken word in the background, this soft voice of an older woman, and showing pictures. It wasn't really great quality. And she said, you know, what does everybody think about this? So people are raising their hands, and people got like these intellectual sort of, I think this is what's going on, man. And I just said, I think whoever, she pointed to me, what do you think, Mike? I said, I think whoever made this video is going to be rich because they found the cure to insomnia. Which a couple of people laughed at. And then like 5 minutes later, she's like, okay, well, this is a video that I made.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, great.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Wah, wah, wah.
It's like, come on, lady.
How was
don't
your
shove
grade
your
in that
video
class?
in
Come
class
on,
about
lady.
how to be a critic if you don't want people to be a critic, right?
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Don't ask a question you're not ready for the answer to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's that. Don't. You're saying don't.
Yeah.
I think you said I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
No. I said don't
Yeah.
ask a question you're not ready for the
Really?
answer to.
Especially you're asking people for their honest opinion. You're asking people
Right.
to criticize the work. You can't be surprised when someone says that this soft-spoken art. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get it. Maybe I'm not on that level, right?
Oh, you're not on a level enough, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the photo check.
Oh,
Now, if you'd be so kind as to do your outro so I can get the heck out of here.
Thank you. Thank you. You sound like you're the lead singer for the Beats.
Yeah, there you go.
The beats. Since we actually made it come true, we took Russ out. Where do you think the next place we should bring Russ is? Everybody,
Oh, God.
send us a message on MikeGinTheMorning.com. So let us know where we should bring Russ next
And
for
speak.
Right.
an outing.
And
We've got
make sure you
and
mention
hopefully-
if I should roll the British accent the whole time.
Yeah, you
the
should.
best the best autocorrect Biden speech
Oh,
will
no.
win a copy of my book.
There we go.
Okay, so we have that contest going too. But I also am
That's the
curious where.
contest.
But
I
it's
just
got to
like
be
Russ
an
visits
actual
places.
autocorrect.
I think Russ is really he's funny. He's always himself. So Russ experiencing things is funny to me.
Right. Well, and also, so the autocorrect
I'm
thing.
still trying to buy. What was it? Buttloadtechnews.com.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What
I
are they
gave
not
up because
letting
I'm
you?
so bad
I
at
think one
this
of our
stuff.
You're gonna
listeners
get a
already
call from your
got it.
credit
I
card
really hope
company,
not.
I
and,
could
and
probably
they're
do
gonna
it
be
in,
like,
5
"Did you
seconds."
buy this?"
Yeah, Liberty.
Yeah.
You know how to do that stuff, right? Buttload
Yeah.
tech. Go to
Oh, the
GoDaddy.
zoo. That's a good idea. The zoo.
I'm
The
going.
zoo. I think
You
that
get
would
some
be a
good
good
pictures at
destination,
the
right?
zoo. Yeah.
I don't think that'd be
Zoo.
interesting.
What'd you say? The zoo?
The
What?
aquarium.
Zoo.
What about miniature golf?
Oh, to bring
Miniature
Russ.
golf.
Yeah,
I'm
see,
good
I'm
with miniature
excited.
golf.
The zoo, miniature golf. Yeah.
go
Oh
to,
no, I actually think we should take Russ to the real driving range. Okay, where they have rules. Well, no, I'd say a golf outing would have rules, but we'll start with Russ at an actual driving range. I would like to
I'd rather
see
do
him
mini golf. It's easier.
do some golfing. Russ, wait, Russ, are you okay with golfing?
Yeah. Yeah, let's go to Waltz's.
Okay. Well, wait, never
Isn't
mind.
that
I want
miniature
something that
golf?
he usually
What is that?
doesn't do. I want something that he doesn't
Miniature
do.
golfing.
Out of his element.
Waltz's.
Yeah. It's not fun when
It's not
Russ
fun
actually
that he knows
what he's
it.
doing, right?
Why is it not fun?
It's just not.
Because
Alright.
it just Russ, you're funny. Like you're always yourself, you
South
know?
Bronx. There we go.
Mike, take him to the South Bronx.
Let's go to Kensington.
Let's just go to Baltimore, the murder capital of the world. Or wait, is that Chicago?
Oh, no, that's
They're
Philly
in
now.
competition with each other.
Philly.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Baltimore's closer.
What's a place with a lot of rules I want to bring Russ?
Disney.
A country club?
Disney.
I don't know.
Yeah, country club would be good. Yeah.
Oh no, Russ.
Bring
needs
Russ to a
take trip
5-star
South
dinner.
Bronx. Oh no. I know that's a New York thing. I don't know where
What?
South Bronx is. I know it's in New York, and it's probably south of Central Bronx.
Mike taken to the. That would be fun. We did talk about taking him to Brooklyn and going
Oh,
around.
yes.
I would blend
Well,
in with the
the
wise
old
guys. You guys
neighborhood.
would
Oh
lose
my gosh,
me.
wait. We should
Stevie,
take
you should
him
come.
to like
We should go to the old neighborhood.
I've got one. We should take him to the 5 top pizza places in Staten Island and Brooklyn and have him rate it. Like I can just imagine him not liking it and wanting pizza dipped in ranch. Sorry, Russ.
No, I'm not a ranch person.
Okay. He knows what it is though.
I know what ranch is. Yes,
But we should have Russ.
it's like
rate the
mustard,
pizza
but
places
it's
for their
ranch.
calzone. I want to see like Russ knows his calzone. Like we should bring him and have him.
Guys,
him rate the
when
rest.
it comes to food, I'm very simple. There's 2 things that go on a cheeseburger, okay? Besides the bun, there's cheese and there's
Mustard.
burger. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Anyway, we'll think
I don't
of
want
ideas
no
of where to bring
salad
Russ.
burger sandwich.
Yeah.
I get cheeseburger. Same goes with pizza. I'll get pepperoni on the pizza, but that's all. And none of
I
that
just
none of
wanna
that
say
tomato
about
pie
Pittsburgh,
crap.
Listen, Pittsburgh, they put French fries on their salad, and it's the way to sneak in something. I don't know.
Really?
I'm just saying. That's the thing. They put French fries on it.
Really?
I think Snake.
Did you know at Planet
Snakington,
Fitness they have a bagel day?
Mr. Snakes was the one who had said that or showed
Snakes.
us. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna buy this domain for Russ.
No, oh God.
Let's see
I
here.
bought it already.
do it.
It's done.
You
It's done. I
bought
gotta
it
figure out how to
already.
connect it to MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Deal. Yeah, there we go.
What's it called again? I want to make sure that it's taken.
Buttloadtechnews.com.
Oh no. You know what? Next week, Mike.
Next week instead of MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Tech news. I
You
mean,
can listen to the program throughout the entire week by visiting Buttloadtechnews.com.
okay. Are you sure you bought it? Because it says it's available here. So I just want to make sure.
Oh.
Did you do it right?
I beat you guys to it. Sorry.
You should have a confirmation in your business
Okay.
email.
Okay, guys, we gotta wrap this up. We're like 20 minutes over
Okay.
time. This is gonna be a nightmare.
Well,
to
well,
edit.
whatever you decide to cut out, make sure Buttload Tech News.
That's got to stay
Shut
in
up,
there. Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah,
And then
that's
do
gotta
your
stay
outro.
in there.
That's
and then
staying on the
resume shutting
airwaves?
up.
Of course
Yeah,
it
there's,
Oh,
no,
it
there's
must.
nothing.
It
There's nothing
absolutely must.
It
FCC
has
not
to.
approved by
Yeah, you
that.
did buy it. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I don't know why it's saying.
Ready? All ready?
Yeah,
Please
quiet
don't.
on the set.
Thanks for tuning in. Stick around for We the People, The Constitution Matters. Pastor David Whitney, Professor Phil Duffy. I'll be joining as your legal analyst. We miss you, Ellie. Daddy loves you. All right. And now for Ben Shapiro, right?
Correct.
That's all the time we've got for today. Stick around for Ben Shapiro with The Ben Shapiro Show.